Okay, I want to call us back from closed session, and it is now 7:06, and we have nothing to report out on closed session. So we're going to, I wanted to make one comment ahead of time, that I know that there's people in the adjacent gym next to us, and we have some people here, and we did that for the purpose of sharing our excitement with the teachers and the classified staff for each site that are being given awards that we're so excited about. So we wanted to split it up a little bit so that when they came in, there's more space for them because they'll have family members with them. So that was the purpose of that. So we're going to move on to 5.2. This meeting is recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel. If I could have you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. Item number 7, the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Thank you.
Second it.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
President Theta.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to a really exciting portion of our evening, which is the highlight of our 21-22 employees of this year recognition program. It's been a little while since we've done this because I don't think we were here last year in the office, were we? I don't think so. So we virtually, yeah, it's different. This is so nice that people are here. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Gill, who's our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, to share with us this wealth of wonderfulness.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, superintendent, community members, and our wonderful employees that we're recognizing today. So this year, we are going to do this program a little different. But before we actually start the process, I just want to thank all of our wonderful employees in our district, teachers, classified employees, and administrators for being amazing people and doing every single thing you do on a daily basis for our students. We have the best employees in the entire universe. I say that. That is for a fact. So today it will look a little different because usually we bring everybody in at the same time. Because of COVID, we are being conscious for having how many people we can have in here at one time. So we have invited 2 schools at a time. And those like the 2 schools are here right now, Turner and Henderson. Their employees will get recognized. They will leave, then the next 2 schools will come. I also want to take a moment to thank Alfredo Romero, Bruce Lambert, and Leslie, Dr. Beatson, and Tim Rahel. They all played a role, and Georgina Martinez, in making this happen, because I have people who on the other side who are managing, making sure everybody knows when to go inside, when to come out. So we are trying our best to make sure to make this a safe but super positive experience for everyone. Okay.
Awesome.
So the way we are going to do this is, I'm going to request, let me just explain first and then we will do it. All the trustees, you will come up, step forward, and the superintendent, if you could come on this side, Dr. Young. And so we'll stand right here. I will invite 1 school at a time. The principal will come and read wonderful information about each of the employees, and the employee will come forward. We will give the employee their certificate, honor the employee. Employee will take a picture, of course, with the masks on, all of us, with the employee and the trustees, and then the employee will have a seat, and the next employee will come forward. The one thing we will not be able to do this year, which we did in the past when we did this in person, at the end, we took 1 picture of all of the employees of the year, since we wouldn't have all the employees of the year in here together today. But we're going to make the best positive experience with this situation. So With that, my request is if all of our wonderful trustees and superintendent, if you could please come forward. So for first off, our school that we are going to honor the employees from is Turner School. Mr. Slater, please come forward.
Thank you, everyone. Michelle Gomez is an outstanding kindergarten teacher and a stellar team player. She consistently cultivates and builds the emotional, social, and educational needs of all her students. For staff members, Michelle is someone who is always positive and full of support. She is a source of strength for our team and definitely for me as principal, and she always is willing to step up to take on a challenge. Michelle creates a classroom environment where students love coming to school and are wild about learning. Since she's been at Turner, Michelle has shown incredible commitment to her students and our staff. Honestly, last year before the year started in distance learning, did not know how the kindergarten teachers were going to be able to pull it off. How do you engage students on a screen that have never been in school before? She was working with a new and exciting team, and her experiences and winning spirit provided a huge lift for our team. Michelle set the tone and the standard for collaboration and an unwavering commitment to do whatever it took to make wonderful things happen for our students. It was inspiring observing our kindergarten team dig in, find all kinds of creative and innovative ways to engage our kindergarten students. Michelle is one of those teachers that does so much behind the scenes and never is one to throw herself into the spotlight for it. She works hard without needing any accolades, which speaks a lot to her character and who she is as a person. Michelle Gomez exemplifies what it means to be a dedicated and amazing teacher. She is passionate and a true champion to each and every student that she encounters. On behalf of the Turner School community, we are very proud of Michelle Gomez. Congratulations. How are you doing? Okay. Rebecca Deleon works tirelessly. Oh, good. Oh, hey. Call her. Okay. All right. Rebecca Deleon works tirelessly, courageously, and with great compassion in her position as food services leader at Matthew Turner Elementary. As a food service provider, Rebecca Deleon plays such a vital role in the lives of our students. She ensures that our students get a nutritious meal and are ready for success every day. Rebecca also interacts with the students with such a positive and caring demeanor. She goes out of her way to get to know each student's name and truly cares about each one. Throughout my 6 years at Turner, Rebecca has led our team with incredible hard work, professionalism, and grace. While in distance learning, Rebecca carried out her job in 100-degree temperatures, heavy rain, and cold. On 2 occasions, Rebecca's tent blew over, and she still continued to serve and deliver nutritious meals to the car windows of our students and families. Rebecca is steadfast in her loyalty and her sense of mission to our staff, students, and families. She 100% respects and appreciates the magnitude of her leadership role and the potential each day holds to build relationships with students, create a sense of belonging, and to provide healthy and tasty meals to our students and staff each day. Rebecca stays cool under pressure, problem solves effectively, and she is willing to go the extra mile to get us through the most difficult times. She provides us with the confidence that the operation and the service of our school cafeteria is treated with exceptional care and a wonderful sense of trust. On behalf of the MTE staff, we are very proud of you, Rebecca. Congratulations. All right. Get a picture up there. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well done, Mr. Slater, and congratulations to both Ms. Gomez and Ms. Deleon. We really appreciate all you do. So let's turn her a big round of applause again, please. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Buck from Henderson School to come present to her staff.
I see Kush was wondering what's in her bag, but it's flowers, so flowers for two honorees, and 'tis the season. So you guys know who to call. I'm going to congratulate our classified employee of the year first. So Miss Carrie Ann Granger, come on up. If you like Samoas, I could switch them out.
No, thank you.
Okay. So I'll try to do this without tearing up because we have spent many a time in my office in tears. Carrie Ann is just amazing as classified employee of the year this year. I'm going to read to you some things that her colleagues have said about her. She has a collaborative spirit, professional demeanor, positive nature, and a hunger to do her best to help our school. She has been, everybody loves her. She has been such a support for all of us, students and staff. Carrie Ann cares about kids. She's been a rock for our school this year and is essential to making the day-to-day flow at JHE running smoothly. She is always willing to do anything to help our hounds and is an invaluable asset to our staff. Carrie Ann is a multitasker, thankfully, offering staff support in any way she can. She advocates for students. She works hard every day and offers to help in all areas. She's amazing with the kids and helpful to everybody. She goes above and beyond for everyone at Joe Henderson while juggling life at home. She has a huge heart and should be honored. She even stepped in when we had no librarian and made it possible for students to get books. CSEA, don't call me. She also saved 2 children's life with the Heimlich maneuver at lunchtime. Can we just give her a hand for that? I do need to tell you, both Slater and Moore have tried to steal her from me. Thank goodness she's also loyal. And we couldn't get through all of this without Carrie Ann, and we just wish we could clone her. So congratulations, Carrie Ann.
Thank you.
And to honor our certificated employee of the year, I'm going to call up my right-hand person, Kelly Hughes. And we also have more Thin Mints. Welcome, Miss Mandy Esteban, our employee of the year.
Okay. Good evening. I am honored to introduce and share a little bit about our Joe Henderson Teacher of the Year, Mandy Esteban. I've had the privilege of working with Mandy for the past 15 years. Mandy was a part of the very first grade level team I was placed on when I first started teaching at Joe Henderson. As a brand new teacher, I was so grateful to work closely with Mandy. She was always willing to share advice, strategies, and other tricks of the trade. Some of the strategies I still use in my classroom today are those I learned from Mandy and the rest of my teammates, and I will forever be grateful to her for the grace and support she gave me during my rookie years of teaching. When I sat down to prepare my thoughts for this evening and thought about Mandy, the first thing I thought was, How could I possibly share about all the qualities that make Mandy the perfect choice for Teacher of the Year in such a short amount of time? It's nearly impossible, but I decided to rely upon one of my favorite second grade I can statements. I can understand and use adjectives. Common Core Standard ELA Literacy 2.1, of course. So here are the top 3 adjectives that best describe Mandy. Compassionate. Mandy has a huge heart for her family, both human and furry, her friends, her colleagues, and her students. When you talk with Mandy, you always feel heard. This is especially true when it comes to her second graders. As many of us in this room know, oftentimes being heard is what our students want most, especially our littlest learners. And no matter how busy or crazy the day is, Mandy always makes time to listen to and truly hear her students. When I asked one of her current students what they love most about Mrs. Esteban, they answered, "I love Mrs. Esteban because she's really nice and really good at teaching. She is kind and patient with me." One of her teammates said it best when she said, "Mandy is like a second mom to her students and always takes the time to meet their individual needs, however small they might be, helping to tie a shoe, listening to a worry, or resolving conflicts after recess." Mandy is compassionate. Fun. If you know Mandy, you know she's really a kid at heart. This is probably one of the biggest reasons she's able to connect with her students as well as she does. She's always looking for ways to engage her students and will stop at nothing to infuse a little fun into all of her lessons. As one of her teammates said, Mandy doesn't let fear of paper scraps or a gooey mess get in the way of providing fun, hands-on experiences for her students, and can often be found at the end of the day standing in her classroom with a look on her face that says, "What was I thinking?" I, too, have seen that look on her face, but the look on her students' faces after one of those experiences says it all. It's the look every teacher strives for, the one that says, "I didn't know learning could be so fun." But don't just take my word for it. Listen to another of Mandy's students who says, "I love Mrs. Esteban because she's funny, silly, and an amazing teacher. She makes learning awesome and fun." As a colleague and a friend, Mandy reminds us of the importance of having fun too. Her laugh is contagious, and she always manages to make you laugh, even on the most challenging of days. Recently, as a member of our Sunshine Committee, Mandy has helped to infuse some much-needed fun into our lives, boosting morale with our now infamous Woot Woot wagon that makes its monthly round about campus, delivering treats and other goodies to our Henderson staff. Mandy is fun. Dedicated. Mandy works tirelessly on behalf of her students to meet both their academic and social-emotional needs. One of her teammates shared that Mandy is aware of each and every need in her classroom and sees each child as an individual. She connects with families on a personal level and always makes them feel comfortable in her classroom. She works so hard to truly understand each child and each family, each second of their lives. Mandy is a fierce advocate for her students. Mandy is also the queen of finding a teachable moment and expanding on it, going deep into subject areas to ensure that her students have a solid understanding of the content. She differentiates her instruction so all of her students feel supported, but also challenged. Outside of the classroom, Mandy has served our school and staff in many ways, including being a teacher representative on the Parent-Teacher Group Board, the treasurer of our Sunshine Committee, and our voice on the recent Return to School Committee that worked hard to ensure a safe and successful return to campus for all, just to name a few. Mandy is dedicated. As I said earlier, I could go on and on about how amazing Mandy is. The list of adjectives to express how deserving she is of this honor is never ending, but I hope my second grade colleagues would agree that I've said enough to demonstrate mastery of this standard. Mandy exemplifies all of the qualities of a top-notch educator. She's so good, in fact, that she has fans in students that aren't even in second grade yet. One kindergartner said to me, "I like Mrs. Esteban because she's funny and she gives hugs, and I hope she's going to be my teacher soon because I want to be in her class." I couldn't agree more. If I could go back to second grade again, I would want to have Mrs. Esteban as my teacher. But lucky for me, while I can't be a student in her class, I have the privilege of calling her my colleague, but more importantly, my good friend. Congratulations, my friend, on this well-deserved honor.
Okay, let's give Miss Esteban and Miss Granger a big round of applause again. Excellent readers, excellent presentation. Thank you so much. So now we are going to request all of these guests take and have fun and go out for dinner, whatever you need to do. And now so we can bring our other guests in. Thank you.
Have a good night.
I make them anytime you need them. Let me know. I'm looking for you. Oh yeah, anytime you need.
Okay, now we're going to recognize our wonderful employees from Farmer School and Sample School. From Farmer School, we are going to recognize two employees. One is Employee of the Year for the school, other one is Employee of the Year for the school and for the district as well. So Miss Fleming, could you please come forward? Thank you. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm going to start off with honoring our school Classified Employee of the Year and District Classified Employee of the Year, Mr. Peter Sharp. So when you think about, oh, sorry, get him up here. Okay, okay. So when you think about Peter, kindness, integrity, thoughtfulness, and dedication, and being very detail-oriented always come to mind. While his role is to ensure that facilities, operations, maintenance, and safety are a priority, he is very clear of the impact that that has on student learning, a direct impact. You can find him at our school site at 5:30 a.m. sharp every day, walking the facilities, opening all the classrooms, making sure that things are in order, because Peter cares about the way that our staff sees our school, the way that our students see our school, the way that our families, it matters to him. It matters to him a great deal because it creates a sense of safety, a sense of pride. And we see this consistently in Peter. If you want to know where he's at, in the morning, you will find him in the cafeteria, sitting with our students, getting to know them, building relationships, making sure they don't waste any of the food and they eat, and encouraging them to read. Not because anyone asked him to do that, but that is who he is. That is his character, and he doesn't look for anyone to applaud or to speak about it. He does it because that is the kind of person that he is and what he values. He builds relationships with everyone that he comes into contact with, and he constantly works to build and strengthen those relationships every day. Adjusting to COVID protocols, there has been nothing easy about that process. And he's taken it on and he's taken charge with that in the midst of modernization at our site to maintain some level of stability for all of the students and the staff that we serve every single day. He carries himself with kindness and grace, and we are honored to work alongside you every day, Peter. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. I'd like to next call up Mrs. Masters, one of our amazing second grade teachers. Mrs. Masters is a well-rounded educator who is inspiring to all that are fortunate enough to be able to be in her presence. She is humble, she is reflective, she is student-centered, she is calm, and she is very collaborative. She understands that we serve human beings first. And she analyzes each situation, the different perspectives of everyone is involved, and worked towards solving conflicts. There is an art to teaching, and she shows that in so many ways. She understands that it's not only academics, it is also the social and emotional well-being and the mental health of the students she serves. And she doesn't just use those words, she puts them into action every single day. She teaches the whole child and is grounded in her values and actions. Doing for others is what is important to her. For Veterans Day, she rallied her second grade team together to write letters to veterans, and she personally delivered those letters so that the residents in a retirement community could know that their services and their sacrifices were of value. She sees, she sees the humanness in every situation, and if you want to feel heard, if you want to feel valued, if you want to be seen, go and sit down with Mrs. Masters. She is able to be present, she is able to listen, and she is able to make all that are in contact with her feel a sense of belonging and value. She is an asset to our school, she is an asset to our district, and an asset to our community, and we at Mary Farmer are so proud and privileged to be able to work alongside you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp, and thank you, Ms. Masters. Thank you so much for all you guys do for our students, for our school. And then good luck to Mr. Sharp for the county and hopefully state and then national championship as well. So we're looking forward to it. And we're going to be cheering you and supporting you at the county level when you're going to be there in May. So looking forward to that. So let's give them a big round of applause again. So now we'll go to sample school, and Ms. Moore, please come forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to highlight some of the most amazing people that consider to be a heartbeat of our school. The first person I'm going to talk about is Michelle Banky Chapman, our Teacher of the Year. Michelle is small but mighty. She is somebody who thinks of everybody else besides herself, always. She is always checking on how I'm doing, how our staff is doing, how teachers are doing, other kids are doing. It's endless. She is tireless in the fight for doing what's right. She is fiercely protective of her students and goes above and beyond to make sure her students' needs are met so they can excel. Michelle is so loved and admired by her staff. It was a slam dunk when we voted for who we wanted to honor. It didn't even need to count. I want to thank Michelle for allowing me to work beside you and allowing me to grow in my leadership. And I am absolutely honored to be able to present this award to you tonight. It is so deserving. One of these is yours if you have a certificate, so get it on the way back. Thank you. Whichever one. You're so welcome. The next person I get to honor is Miss Maria Mariquan Asencia. Miss Maria is our lead day custodian. Let me tell you, Miss Maria came to Robert Semple in 2019, about 3 weeks before we went into shutdown. So she got a short trial run of how to run a school. We went into shutdown. Her second year was hybrid, juggling that. And this is her first real year. And I have to tell you also, the love is so strong at Robert Semple, also a slam dunk on selecting Miss Maria as our classified person of the year. Maria is so kind. She is so smart. She's thoughtful and incredibly hardworking. She never stops. Where is Miss Maria? I have no idea. I have no idea. She's a bee all around school. And in fact, we use radios. Where's Maria? She can never be found. Maria, one of the things that you do bring to our site is a strength in building relationships. So Maria does all of the tasks that she needs to do, and somehow she finds time for our Halloween festival to turn all of our god-awful garbage cans into beautiful monsters and goblins and ghosts. At Thanksgiving, she turned our hand sanitizers into she didn't, she helped some of the kids turn them into turkeys. She sent me a picture. Can I put hearts on all the tables for the kids at Valentine's Day? And then probably one of the most touching things was a little girl at lunch, second grader, came up to me and said, Mrs. Moore, it's my birthday. I said, oh, happy birthday. She said, would you tell Miss Maria it's my birthday? Miss Maria came over and sang her happy birthday in Spanish. So thoughtful. We love Maria. We love you. And thank you for being a part of our family.
Thank you, Ms. Becky Chapman and Ms. Morricone, for all you do for our students on a daily basis. We greatly appreciate you. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Now we're going to ask you to go have fun. We're going to bring our next team in. Thank you again. Okay. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. So right now we have Liberty School and Benicia Middle School. So we're going to start with Liberty School. And to present Liberty School's awards, I am going to ask Miss Lewis, please come forward. Thank you so much.
This is one of my most favorite nights, I just want to say. And plus, I'm not presenting a highlight. Okay. Okay. Liberty High School is proud to introduce Miss Brenda Weiss as our Classified Person of the Year. Miss Weiss. I'm going to try to keep a straight face on this one. Miss Weiss joined Liberty family 2 years ago and immediately embraced our school and our students and what we stand for at Liberty. She has many responsibilities during the day. Just to list a few: running the main office, connecting with parents on a daily basis, corralling teachers with love for their attendance, and keeping me in line, which is a big deal. Her positive attitude is infectious, and she continues to strive to learn more about her job and how she can do it better. She'll call, she'll ask questions, she takes notes. She's meticulous. I love her. She color codes. It's fantastic. But of all the things she does during the day, Miss Weiss connects with our students. She's more than an office manager. She is a trusted adult that students can go to when they need anything, from a spare Chromebook charger to words of encouragement and care. She takes the time from the busy day to make sure that the students and the staff and myself, that we're all taken care for and set up for success. Liberty High School is grateful to have Miss Weiss as a part of our team. We love you for it. Okay. Yeah. At this time, it's my absolute pleasure for me to present to you Miss Kathleen Sotter as Liberty High School's Teacher of the Year. Miss Sotter exemplifies, that's bolded and everything, the spirit of Liberty High School. She always puts her students first. She's compassionate, caring, and understanding. This year, I've asked Ms. Sotter to step in different roles and responsibilities, and she never has turned me down yet. Thank God. She says, no problem, I can do that. And she is willing to do whatever is best for Liberty High School and our students. Ms. Sotter's true magic is when she works side by side with her students. She builds these amazing relationships that give students confidence and sense of belonging. Her students have stated that they would never have achieved their full potential without her. A student told me this year, she's one of the first teachers that I've ever trusted. Ms. Sotter works tirelessly to ensure her students in Liberty High School are successful. She does so with grace and kindness. We are truly thankful to have such a remarkable teacher as a part of our Liberty High School family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Weiss and Ms. Sotter, for all you do on a daily basis for our students. We greatly appreciate you. And let's give Liberty School and their wonderful staff another background applause, please. And now I'm going to request Ms. Dalsky to come present awards for Benicia Middle School.
Thank you. All right, good evening. I would like to invite Amber Kelly up, our Classified Employee of the Year. Amber Kelly is so much more than a school librarian. She is eager to be a part of our school community and engage in activities outside the four walls of the library. When Amber joined Benicia Middle School, she began to update our library to meet the needs of today's middle school student. Amber provides assistance with the NWEA and CASP testing. She trained to administer the LPAC and also serves as our EL coordinator. As a participant in the Callie Reads Literacy Grant, Benicia Middle School hosts an annual family literacy night. Amber has regularly researched and helped develop the program for this night. While we were out for virtual learning last school year, Amber helped run the homework club and game nights for students to participate in via Zoom. When there are school-wide events, Amber participates not because she has to, but because she sincerely wants to. A couple of the comments that Amber's colleagues mentioned about her is that Amber has transformed our library. This has become a very special and welcoming place. Students enjoy hanging out in the library, and that says a lot about the environment Amber has created. And Amber is always so friendly and upbeat. Thank you. Yeah. All right, I would now like to invite up Bonnie Ramirez, our Teacher of the Year, and also our District Teacher of the Year. So when students walk in to room E9, it is not simply a classroom, it is a family. Bonnie Ramirez creates such an amazing environment that is not only supportive, but also challenging. Bonnie is our special day class teacher and teaches 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students English, history, math, and science. She is a master at her craft. She is able to determine the academic, social, and behavioral needs of each of her students and design curriculum and activities that allow them to blossom. Students in E9 thrive. I'm always thrilled to get a phone call, and E9 pops up on the phone, and I answer it, and I'm on speakerphone with everyone in E9, and they're inviting me down to the room for a brain break, and I love it. It's a highlight of my day. The students remind each other of expectations, hold each other accountable. They encourage and support every single student in their E9 family. Bonnie's students truly benefit from being in her classes, and she helps prepare them for high school by navigating the waters of middle school. Some of Bonnie's colleagues said about her that Bonnie is 100% present for all of her students and their individual needs all of the time. Her students are a part of a very positive environment. Another colleague, I truly believe Bonnie Ramirez has the toughest job on our campus. The students she has are actively learning, and on top of that, she's also a department chair, so she balances the entire department. Someone else said that Bonnie's creativity is over the top. Congratulations, Bonnie.
So, but Miss Adalski was talking about Miss Ramirez. I have to tell you a story. I'm a storyteller, if you guys don't know me. About 3 years ago, Miss Ramirez asked me to come to her classroom because they were reading a book from India, like a little boy who came here from India and so on. It was so fascinating. The most amazing thing was that the students, Miss Bonnie's students in their classroom, they got to know me and I got to know them, and we shared lots of stories and talked a lot. So every time I'll go to that classroom afterwards, they remembered me. So then they sent me a picture, two actually piece of papers with their pictures and some wording on it. So they're actually posted right in front of my office as you enter my office. So the days when I'm having a difficulty, I typically look at that picture. My ladies in the office know too, that she's looking at that picture. That means something is going through her head and she's reminding, why is she here? Okay, she's here for these kids, and that's why. So thank you, Miss Bonnie, Ms. Ramirez, for giving the world knowledge to your students, and I just had to tell that story. And so again, congratulations to Ms. Kelly as well. Thank you so much. And big round of applause for all of the Benicia Middle School employees. Okay, even though we love you absolutely, this is the time to say goodbye. So now you friends leave, and we're going to bring our next other friends here. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. We do have a few more seats up here if any would like to sit down. So this is our last group for the recognitions. So we're going to start now with Benicia High School, and Miss Klein Smith, if you could please come forward.
Good evening. Very excited to recognize our Teacher of the Year, Megumi Sakamoto, who's here with her beautiful family. Come on up. Oh my gosh. So that is the perfect example of Megumi and why she's so amazing. She is so caring and thoughtful and positive. You cannot be around her and not be smiling and feel just her warmth. I enjoy going into her classroom. It has to be one of my favorite places on campus, and I think all of her students feel the same. And she came to teaching a little bit later in her professional career. She was a yard supervisor and a para-educator before becoming an amazing teacher, and we are so lucky that we have her at Benicia High School. She's a teacher in our special education department working with our 10th grade students. And our process at Benicia High School for our Educators of the Year is to reach out to our staff and our students and our parents to ask for nominations. She had the highest number of nominations, and that's particularly special because as a case manager and a teacher in special education, she sees less students in the day than our other teachers would, who would normally have about 150 student contacts. So even with less students, she had more nominations from parents, from students, from staff members, from colleagues. Because of her communication, she's amazing with communication. She's proactive, she's thoughtful and caring. And so everyone that she works with just feels that they're in good hands, that someone's looking out for them and making sure that they're ready to learn, they have all of their needs taken care of so that they can be successful. She's part of our Sources of Strength program. She's part of our PBIS team. She really helps build such an amazing culture on our campus, and I can't say enough good things about her. So glad to recognize you, so well deserving, Megumi Sakamoto. I'll also just briefly mention she wasn't able to join us tonight, but Megan Siegel is our classified Employee of the Year, our school librarian, who was so amazing that we unfortunately lost her. She's now at Cal Maritime as an amazing librarian. And she's very special to us. She's actually an alumni from Benicia High School also, and continues to help us as we transition. So I definitely want to make sure to mention her tonight. Megan Siegel.
So again, thank you, Ms. Megumi. Thank you for all you do for our students. And I also want to thank Ms. Siegel for her service for our students, and best wishes to her. Let's give Benicia High School employees a good round of applause, please. I should have said this earlier, but it's better late than never, right? Is that what the saying is? Because it's just escaped my mind. I think I'm getting old. That Miss Ramirez is also going to be representing our district at the county level, and we wish her the best at the county, because who knows, Benicia might be representing at the state or the national. So now I'm going to request Ms. Tanya Courtney to present the District Office Classified Employees of the Year. Please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to be here. And I want to let you know that I am honored to present our employee, Michelle Baldwin. Michelle is amazing. She is work at the Benicia High School Central Kitchen. She is a lead, and she worked really hard, and she's very dedicated. She is part of the team that put recipes together. They have a team, and together they work on it. But she's very particular and very picky. So we try out with our students, with our staff. And if there's something that need to be tweaked, she working on it, and she presented the best meal we could ever have for our students. She also is really good about talking to our students. She puts through about 200 to 250 students on her line every day in 12 to 15 minutes. The amazing connection that she does have with the students, who greet everyone with their names and with a smile and with kind words. If she sees a student that is sad, she takes the time to connect with them and make sure that she have that student leaving a cafeteria with a smile, or at least feeling important. And we know we can't solve the problems, but we're kind of their moms there, right? Also, if a student come to the cafeteria when the line is gone and they're looking for something particular, she goes out of her way to connect with the other lines to see if we can find what they're looking for. Always looking for the best for our students. Let's see, make sure I didn't forget anything. Again, we are so lucky to have her in our team, because she does everything she can to make the kids happy, and they don't miss out a meal. At times they come by, and always the first question is, have you eaten yet? Are you hungry? And we make sure that they are taken care. So again, thank you, Michelle, for doing everything you can for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Baldwin, for all you do for our students, definitely. And thank you, Ms. Courtney. Let's give actually a big round of applause to all of our district office departments. So now I would like to invite Ms. Corona to present our Management Employee of the Year.
Good oops. I always do this. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I am honored to introduce Shelley, Miss Shelley Million. When I first realized that Ms. Shelley was selected as Management of the Year, I was very excited to say, you know what, the 30 plus years I've worked in education, this is the first time I have the honor to introduce and have an outstanding psychologist in my team. So it is with great honor to have her here. Just a little bit, when I first met Shelley, she came to our school psychologist meeting, and I'm really going to miss the baking. It is sad to say she is retiring, but she came and she prepared this ready to bake, the dough and everything. It was great. Thank you for that. And I heard wonderful things that is something that she normally does. Unfortunately, we haven't done that because we've been meeting via Zoom. But I just have to say that just by getting to know her the past few years, I've noticed that I can say with very proudly that Ms. Shelley is very caring. She cares for her students. She goes the extra mile. She goes above and beyond. She is very organized. I asked her colleagues, what would you say about Shelley? What are some things that you would say about Shelley? And someone mentioned, one of her colleagues mentioned, she's very organized and she uses a lot of Post-its. And yes, because every couple of months I see the order of all these Post-its. It's like, who's ordering all those Post-its? Well, it's Miss Shelley. So yes, she is very organized. She's caring. The other thing is that she is a good listener. Her report writing is stellar. She does go above and beyond. She does not cut corners, but she's very quick in assessing her students. And also, did I mention she is very caring? It is sad to say that for a short time that I've met her, I am going to miss her. But today, we're here to honor her. So congratulations, Shelley. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Million, congratulations on your retirement. We appreciate your long-term, your dedicated service for our district, for our students. You will definitely be missed. Your psychologists, I will say, because I also get emails from them, they're big fan of yours. Okay, so we are honored that we had an opportunity to have you serve our district for all these years. Thank you so much, and congratulations. Before we wrap up, I just want to say one last time, this event would not have been possible without the help of so many people. First of all, we started working on this like way back in October. I mean, you could tell all the behind the scenes work. So all these staff, principals, everybody who writes the nominations, help us select through the committee, and then everybody who gets all of this stuff ready, which is Ms. Martinez, my HR team, Kathleen Zuli, she was working until midnight last night to make those, just to decorate the boardroom with that. Like, everybody takes pride in making. She was like, oh my gosh, our employees really need this. They really need that decoration. So everybody, do whatever they want to do. And then Maria Silva and Cynthia Bogart. So I want to really thank everyone and everybody who helped with the bringing everybody organizedly, Alfredo and Miss Beatson and a couple other team members out there. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful midnight, and we love you. But I think if you want to go now, I will not say you have to leave because you're welcome to stay if you want to. Okay, thank you again.
Georgina, hi, I just wanted to.
We all here? I want to welcome everybody back. Again, congratulations to all the members, teachers, and classified and certificated employees of the year and the district office employees of the year. It's wonderful to recognize you, and we really appreciate all the work that you do. So with that being said, we're going to move on to our reports. Excuse me. Our student reports, we kindly asked our students to not come tonight because it was a really long beginning. So they're not going to be here to present anything this evening. And next up is Dr. Young with our superintendent report.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Ada. And board, welcome everybody. Glad to see everyone. Love that event. It's very positive. Just a couple of quick things from me. I wanted to let everybody know that the high school did a really cool thing with incoming ninth graders. And it was a wonderful event where they had the kids go over there in groups, and the high school administration and I believe the counselors met with the kids and talked about course options and just welcoming them onto the campus. And one of the things I thought was really wonderful is Principal Kleinschmidt reached out to the kids, the high school kids, to see who would like to help, partner and greet the kids when they come over. And she said she had 100 kids, 100 high school kids that signed up for it that wanted to do it. And I was listening to her tell the story. It was so sweet because they were so much wanting to hang out and be with the eighth graders and incoming ninth graders and vice versa, in that spirit of service and caring. And it was really beautiful. So it's I think it's a new tradition that we'll foster here in our Knoxville School District. So that was nice. The other thing I wanted to point out that I think we have some speakers tonight, and we received a number of emails. I just want to note that I know it's difficult. It's been a long road with the pandemic, a long road with all of it, and we're hanging in there well. But I know it's been long and tiring. One thing that I would like to emphasize is on February 28th, which is 7 instructional days away, Dr. Mark Gailey, who's the Secretary for the California Health and Human Services, will be making an announcement regarding the possibility of lifting masks for schools, because as we know that they've been lifted for other organizations, but it's still in place for schools. Schools are still under that mandate, and as a government agency, we're under that. So I know that we're all looking forward to that. I certainly am as your superintendent. I think it'll be a great day for all of us. And again, we're waiting for February 28th, 7 instructional days away, and we'll see what that announcement looks like. It's not confirmed yet. We've heard some news that there's the chance that he will make that decision. That will come from the governor as well. So I just want to comment on that. And then we had a lot of parents who had an opportunity to
Excuse me.
share their thoughts
Excuse
with
me.
us.
I will have you removed if you keep doing that. We'd like to have you stay, but we will have you removed. So please stop interrupting.
Yeah. All right. And then, so we appreciate keeping it simple. And those are my comments for this evening. And
Thank you, Dr. Young.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do any of our trustees have anything to share in board reports? Okay.
Okay, last time that I shared with you, I was talking about the upcoming potential of changes and adjustments to the Valero meeting. I just wanted to let you know I did go, and we did make adjustments to our bylaws, so there will now be 6 meetings per year instead of the 4. And the meeting that I thought was really good, and I'm hoping the community will be interested in and hopefully participate in, is instead of the 1 December meeting, which is open to everyone in the community, there will now be 2. So there'll be one in June, which information will be forthcoming, and one in December. If you want further information, you can get on the Valero website, or you can go up on the Benicia City website. The fire department maintains a whole section with all of the information from Valero. We had El Capitans coming, and I know Leslie's got some good information for us. The other thing that I did is I zoomed in as a participant on the Solano County Board meeting last week. I was a little upset at that board meeting. I was kind of disappointed in our board leadership there. I just will say this, that I am very proud of the colleagues that I serve with on our board, because you don't talk to your colleagues that way. There was a lot of inappropriate behavior and interaction, and I think it didn't bode well for the community to be able to be witnessing to that. It was quite disturbing. One of the things that they did have as a member was Dr. Mateos was there. He is our county health specialist, and I was real appreciative of the information that he also shared about the virus and his position on what he felt about children and the idea of masks. So with that said, what I'm going to request is, I know that the 28th is when the governor or our county California health, but I would really like this board to come forward and do a special meeting before that time. If nothing else, we are ready because we will have been proactive. I'm doing this to my president and my superintendent. It allow us to be prepared for what's coming down from the state, but I think the time is now. So that is a request that I am making to my leadership.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferrucci. Anybody else have anything to share? No. No? I don't either. I do have folks in the audience that are not wearing their masks, and I will ask you to put it up over your nose. We're going to follow protocol this evening. If you're not interested in following protocol, we're going to ask you to leave. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to now move on to members, public comments from our members that are here. Before we go into these public comments that I have in my hand, we had 3 that came through email today, because apparently there was an error on our website that said they could still make the phone calls in, and I thought it would be best to make good, since they thought it was still active and it has now been corrected, that we read those comments. And I asked Mrs. Ferrucci if she would read those comments for us. Oh, maybe it is too. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so the first one is from Natalie Heckman. It says, "Dear board members, I've attempted to call and will continue to call to try and leave my public comment for tonight's board meeting. Please forward or input in the public comment if I am unable to leave my 3-minute voicemail. My name is Natalie Heckman. I am a 3rd-generation Benician and mother of 2 in the BUSD. I am a nurse and educate myself by reviewing peer-reviewed medical literature to make informed decisions when it comes to masking and vaccinating my children. I have recently had the pleasure of meeting Superintendent Dr. Young, of who informed me that my concern should be directed towards the state level. I sent letters to the governor, the senator, and the assemblyman offices regarding mask mandates and vaccination. This is in your purview to consider making your own decision for our district, given the recent district decisions of El Dorado and Roseville. These counties stepped up for their communities and have taken action. It is the right of parents to make risk analysis-based decisions for their children, not school or government officials. Please look at this forum from a parent perspective. You are taking away our legal rights to determine the best course of action for our school from a medical standpoint. You are also not taking into consideration that COVID is still in its early stages. I respectfully request that you make indoor masking optional for our Benicia children. Here are a few reasons why. 1, this should not be compared to childhood illnesses like MMR and varicella, which are eradicated with inoculation. COVID cannot be eradicated by vaccination at this time. Second, the CDC website states surgical masks do not catch all the harmful particles in smoke. Did you know the size of smoke particles in a wildfire are a negative 0.5 micron, which is 5 times the size of the SARS-CoV virus? 3, the consensus in our community is that masks should be optional in schools. I personally polled 130 persons who responded in less than 24 hours. 68% of those agreed that this should be in the parent's choice, not mandated. 4th, take into consideration the recent public events like the playoffs and Super Bowl in LA, where there were 70,000 plus attendees unmasked in an indoor space. My kids asked, why do they not have to wear masks like we do indoors? They are with people they don't even know and are so close together. Make that make sense. One of those attendees was the California Teachers Association Board of Director member, Jesse Aguila, at the Rams NFL championship game, who was not wearing a mask in an overcrowded area. This is just hypocrisy shouldered by our children. Next, our children can dine in restaurants in Benicia without a mask and the general public, regardless of vaccination. But yet they can't sit socially distanced in a classroom unmasked. Requiring children to wear a mask, you are promoting the idea that the mask can prevent or treat a disease, which is an illegal deception practice. It is unlawful to advertise. Okay.
And
thank you, Mrs. Heckman.
Wait, before you read that, I failed to read the procedural item, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the bell. We decided to put that in so that Mrs. Martinez is going to ring it at 3 minutes. She's got a clock going, so that you know that it's coming or that it's there. Let's see. Please note that BUSD has moved to in-person meetings. We ask that members of the public who wish to attend, including those who wish to address the board, wear a mask over their nose and mouth at all times. All functions of the board meeting, including public comments, will take place in person. Members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available at the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call all the open session general comments, Government Code Section 54954.3, during the public comment item. Comments for items on the agenda will be called during a specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit a total time to 20 minutes per item, with the timer displayed in the monitors. So keep in mind the time. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during public comment periods. Matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful as students may be watching the board meeting. And I thank you. And at this time, Mrs. Frucci, if you want to read the second letter.
Yes.
Thank you.
The second one is from Suzanne Johnson, the retired Vacaville Police Department. Did you ever think this would happen in the United States? For the past year, we the people have been threatened, coerced, bribed to take an experimental vaccine by our own government. Coercion is illegal, threats are illegal, and bribery can get any one of us in jail. So why are these tactics being used on us in the name of science? Experiments belong in the lab, not in our children. Most especially, we weren't being given clear and complete data from the government on the results of these experiments. I am personally devastated by 17 deaths within my circle of family and friends in 2021. Only a few were from long-term or natural causes. Only one had COVID but died with the treatment of remdesivir. 3 unexpectedly died within the days of the vaccine. Over half had existing health issues, but according to family members, rapidly declined after the vaccination. Kidney and liver failure, heart attack, blood clots, and stroke. This year was heartbreaking and like none I have ever seen. I fear for our children's lives and future. COVID is not a threat to the children, but the vaccine is, and there are multiple documents and statistics to prove it. The United States Department of Health and Human Resources, our services, concluded in a 2010 report that less than 1% of adverse events were being reported in the VAERS report. On the 30th of December in 21, Sidney Powell stated that the VAERS reflect more than 4% of the incidents. Applying the math, that means in 13 months, there have been up to 2.3 million vaccine deaths, 4.1 million permanent disabilities, and 3.1 million myocarditis and pericarditis. No wonder an insurance company announced a 40% spike in the 21 death claims, which they believe point to the vaccine. It's officially recommended for children. The pharmaceutical companies will have no liability, but you will. They are protected, but you are not. The school board is an elected group whose assignment it is to represent the people, not the government. Unconstitutional mandates that are being shown to harm our children, like masks and vaccines, do not represent our best and in fact are proving to be negligence in and of themselves. We need you to be informed. We the people need your protection and representation of our constitutional rights. Therefore, we request that you stand with us against this tyrannical and experimental mandates. Please join the other school districts who have already taken a stand and oppose the mandates. This action will surely make you heroes. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to call up people in the order of which they were received. First person to speak is Brian. And if you could spell your last name for me, please.
B-O-E.
Uh-huh. Just Brian Vo?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, this open. So raise your hand, or
Can you please put your mask up?
I have to speak without with
We
the
are
mask
all
on?
speaking with
Oh
our
my
masks
goodness.
on.
Okay, this is how the children feel in class. But raise your hand or shout if you're in the auditorium if you have child-age children here in Benicia. None up here? Okay.
But we've had kids.
Okay, but
I
currently
shouldn't say
your kids.
anything.
Okay.
My fault. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. So give me back like 10 seconds. As a father and a resident in Benicia, I implore you to end this forced mask mandate that our poor children are subjected to. There is an overwhelming and growing number of us parents who are witnessing the harm that these masks are doing to our precious children. These masks are harmful in so many ways, and the most innocent among us. These priceless children are at the mercy of us adults to protect them, and right now, our children are being harmed physically, mentally, and emotionally. I have witnessed how these masks are destroying families, marriages, and relationships. This needs to end. Actual science rejects and condemns the use of these masks on children, and compelling forcing them to wear them an entire day is nothing less than abusive. I spoke to a Benicia school teacher who said kids do not mind wearing a mask at all day long. What? I met a parent 2 days ago, and this parent told me that their 4th grade child who attends a Benicia elementary school comes home most days crying because he hates the mask and begs to not have to wear it. He says he hates that the teachers force him to wear the mask all day. What psychological damage are you doing to our children? It is not for the health and safety, so what is it? Is it state or federal COVID money, which in order to receive, you have to force ineffective, unhealthy, oppressive masks and vaxes on our children? You are using our innocent children as pawns to qualify for millions of dollars of COVID funding. I see kids who are scared to remove their masks. I see kids walking completely alone at all grades with their whole faces covered. You see their eyes, you don't see their smiles, you don't see their faces. You don't see the sweet smiles from kids that we used to. They're covered, they're oppressed. What damage are we causing to these children that they can't even look at their students and interact with each other? This is an essential, critical child development thing that kids must do. It's documented. Doctors have talked about it. Therapists, and the damage that we are causing now and in the future, we can't even quantify. I know You know, Mr. Maselli, I see you in the gym, and I applaud you for working out and exercising, and you don't wear a mask, and I totally support that. So here as a board member, if we ourselves do not comply with these type of mandates that we're enforcing on kids, it's the definition of hypocrisy. We need to end this. We need to protect our children from this tyranny. They are subjected to us to protect them, and they have no say in this. We tell them, you go to school, you have to wear a mask, you have to wear it all day long. And it's horrible, it's depressing, it's sad. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Amber Clemens.
That's okay. Good evening. I will just say it's so nice to be in person with everyone here. Tonight, I'm asking you to be proactive and put our children's needs first and schedule a special board meeting to vote on preemptively removing mask mandates to begin March 1st. Post the relaxing of the CDPH guidelines and Newsom's review on the 28th. You have an opportunity here to provide mask choice as soon as possible for our children. You even have the power to lift the mandates now. Look at Roseville, El Dorado, Rescue Union, so many other districts that have done this for their children. Be a leader and give these children a mask option. I'm not asking, I don't think anybody is asking you to say no masks. We're asking that you give our parents and our children a choice and an option. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Leah Mojito.
Hi. I'm here to support ending the mask mandates for our kids. For all kids, vaxxed and unvaxxed. It's all about choice. Let those who want to wear them, and those who don't shouldn't have to. It seems like people want to call names these days, like anti-mask or anti-vax. It's simply a complex issue. I got my child's vaccinations, and my dad, who's pictured here, died from the vaccine. And I had to watch him languish, literally for a month, as he suffered because he had 4 catastrophic strokes from the vaccine, the second shot to be exact. So being pro-choice doesn't make you anti-anything. It's just a cult-like behavior tactic to attack people who don't agree with you, and it's despicable. If you choose to live in fear and let your kids sit in a filthy mask, that's your right. But you don't get to force that fear on my family and tell me I'm a Trumper, because honestly, I hate Trump. This rhetoric makes you sound like you're in a cult sometimes, and calling everybody racist cheapens the actual meaning of the word. Our kids deserve better. They deserve to see smiles. They are not at risk for COVID like the elderly and those with comorbidities. Yet people sit in judgment acting like if they want fresh air in their lungs, that they're going to kill grandma. It's a guilt trip. It is our children. They should never have to bear because grown adults are terrified of death. I hate to break it to everybody in this room, but death comes for us all. There is no escape. It's not selfish for not wanting to be a fearful coward. I choose life while I'm still here, and that doesn't make me anti-anything. So everybody needs to stop being controlling, pompous tyrants, and let our children breathe. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Julia Ecker.
Hi, I'm a parent of a high school student, and I had to pull him this year from Benicia High School. He's a 11th grader, and I had to pull him because I was picking him up from school, and he was upset. I had to move him to Liberty because he just couldn't do the long day with the mask. He became depressed. He became withdrawn, and he was struggling. He told me one day that in weight training, kids were getting sick in their masks. They were vomiting. This was in weight training at the high school. He was also getting dehydrated as well, and all the fountains were taped off, and there wasn't any water available for him close by. And at lunch, there was so many people in line, he just couldn't even get in there to eat. I mean, I know every parent has their nightmare story. And in regard to the last 2 years of this pandemic, if you've had a child, and I understand that some of you have children, and this has been the most challenging, horrifying year. And I know that the teachers have been trying to hang tough, do what they're told, but this has to stop. The time is now. Every parent that has come here tonight to support getting these masks, get these kids unbound if they choose to not wear a mask. Thank you. We can all agree on that. As far as we put the masks on the children, we need to free them. We need to free them now. They're our future. You guys have the power to not wait till February 28th. I mean, if somebody falls dead of a heart attack, God forbid, in this building, and we go to the defibrillator machine, oh wait, we're not gonna save this man or this person because we have to wait till February 28th. Each child is struggling every day. These parents here seated have to go through the routine of getting up in the morning, getting your kid ready, and it's a struggle. They see now that you can go into certain stores without a mask, and why can't they? Why can't they go to school? When is it going to be their turn? Who's going to stand up for them? How are they going to get their education properly? These kids are so deprived and behind by almost 2 years of proper learning. I know everybody's trying to do their best, but it's the time is now. You guys have it. We're looking at you guys.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nicole Wasco-Opperman.
That was very emotional. Okay. Dear Superintendent and School Board Trustees, I am a parent of 2 elementary school students at Mary Farmer Elementary. I love my school, and I think that the teachers and the staff have done the best that they can under these conditions. But I'm here today to request that you, the board, motion to hold a special board meeting to discuss removing mask mandates and pulled back COVID restrictions at our schools. You as the board need to recognize that you can implement change. You have the ability to give choice to the parents. It is time for the individual person to be responsible for themselves. When these mandates and restrictions were put into place, we didn't have the tools that we have now. There is a vaccine, and anyone who wants it can get it. Testing is readily available. Home test, rapid test, PCR test, all available to anybody who needs them or wants them. Masks, any type of mask you could want, you can get it. And if you wear the right mask correctly, one-way masking does work. Hospitals, they have new medication and new techniques on how to treat this virus. We no longer need the school board and the state making these choices for us. These mandates and restrictions are hurting our children. These mandates and restrictions are taking the focus away from learning. These mandates and restrictions are putting added stress and added tasks onto the teachers, which takes away from their primary job, teaching. Please call for this meeting so we can express our concerns about how masks are physically and mentally hurting our children. And we can explain to you why they're not helping in the way that they are meant to. I understand that the CDPH's update this week is wanting to revisit masks in school on February 28th, but you as a board have the power to proactively prepare to do this sooner and discuss, vote on an agenda on how we can cut back on restrictions immediately. Please be proactive and be ready to drop the mandates as soon as possible. I'm going to add in a little bit more because I have a little bit more time, not really. The restrictions on the elementary school kids specifically are really getting there, and I'll break it down and I'll email you in particular. But the fact that there is no open water fountains on campus is just it's ridiculous. It's not the teachers' jobs, it's not the principals' jobs to add water. It is, we have drinking fountains, let's use them. What about the potting in the elementary schools? These kids are forced to stay with each other all the time. There's bullying happening. There's negative psychological effects, and these teachers are having to deal with this when really they should be focusing on teaching these children. And I know that in the beginning that was maybe the right thing to do, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Greg Thomas.
Good evening. I hope you all had the pleasure to attend the Solano School Board meeting where Dr. Matthias, I think. Thank you, spoke. It's hard to catch everything he said being out in the forum, but the end of his speech brought to light some new information to me that I didn't otherwise think of, and that was regarding the the vaccine implementation and what effects that may cause, and his worrisome on that. And in short, what I took away was that he was saying that the major majority of the people that aren't getting vaccinated are minorities, and therefore their children would fall along with that as well. And with that in mind, I noted that Solano County is the 6th most diverse county in the United States. The 6th, that's huge. Then I looked at the demographics at my daughter's school, and it is over 50% minority. He spoke that what happens to these children, that if they don't get vaccinated and they don't go to school, what is left for them if they aren't being educated and they fall through this huge crevasse we make? It's not a crack. It's going to be a crevasse. And what happens to their lives? Where do they fall in the grand scheme of things? Those are lives lost, potentially. Drugs, whatever. Where are they going to fall without an education, without an ability to gain good employment, go to a college? I'm an IBEW member, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. If you don't have a high school diploma or equivalent with the year of C algebra or better, we don't even want to see your application. So, and all the other trades are pretty much the same way. They can't even get into a trade. Where do we leave them? We spoke tonight, all of our teachers that we looked at and celebrated for their achievements, and we spoke of the culture and how we brought all this together. What happens to these kids? We essentially abandoned them. This woman, I'm sorry, I forget your name. I think what she alluded to was, are we going to be the tip of the spear, or are we going to be followers? When we read our history books, we don't read about followers. Their names aren't mentioned. We only hear about the leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker this evening is Jason Brink.
My notes were kind of broken into two parts because I added some stuff today after watching the presentation earlier. that teacher appreciation was pretty great, right? People usually have favorite moments of the night when something like that happens. My personal favorite was a speech about a teacher talking about the face or the look on the face of her teacher that she was giving the award to at the end of the day. I think that's pretty ironic since these kids haven't seen their teacher's face in 2 years. When you guys make statements and say things as a board member, it's important to understand what you guys are saying. Mr. Young was next door in the gym and told people to put their mask on because it's a law. It's not a law. The other thing is, you also stated that you guys have to wait for the governor to make this decision. You don't. It's happening all over the state. There's several school districts that are removing the mask mandates for our children. So now with that part done, here's the speech I wrote. Was just basically, my name's Jason. My children represent a 4th generation in this town. They're a 3rd generation at Benicia High. This is the first time I've addressed the school board. I'm requesting a special meeting to vote for an immediate removal of mask mandates in our schools. This mandate removal does not require those that still feel the need to wear a mask to rip them off their face, as somebody said at our city meeting. It's pretty dramatic. This will allow well-informed parents and students to make their own decisions. We can all find studies and facts that support our different beliefs. The problem is your choice to enforce a mask mandate forces my child to wear a mask, while my belief of no mandate still allows you to make a free choice for your child. A lot of you are educators in this room. The best part of being teachers is seeing the results of someone understanding how to research and form their own opinion and make the right choice for themselves. So remember, let's do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person I have on here is speaker number 11, but I'm going to have to ask you what your name is.
Kathleen Smith.
Kathleen Smith.
Yep. Thanks for having us here today to have an opportunity to speak. Appreciate it. I think we can all attest that it's been a pretty difficult time for parents, teachers, all of you. It's just been somewhat unsettling, still remains that way. But I think with the reality of us, some of us being here tonight and using our voices is that it's time to change. And I think I look to all of you as leaders of the school community and ask that you don't sit back and wait to make change. I've observed the board for a couple years now. I think you stall out a little bit. I'd love to see you stand up when you have the power to do so and be proactive. Yeah, for our kids. I think someone said that. Yeah, for our kids, for sure. And it would certainly help me as a parent too. It's hard to parent during all this. I think I heard Mrs. Ferrucci say that she wanted to have a special meeting. So I guess my question to the board is, how do we get that on the books? Who does that?
We don't do it at this point. We can't say that information at this point. So
Okay, I'm just
you will get information.
Is it motion tonight or how does that work?
No, there's no motion on that tonight because it wasn't on our agenda. We have to follow guidelines.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's great. Anyways, just ask you all to be proactive, step up, and make a choice for our children. They're truly suffering. It's been tough. And it's so hard to watch the city relieve the mandates. It's hard to explain to my kids why you can go out anywhere else in this town without a mask on now. And at school, they have to put it on all day long. It doesn't make sense. It's hard to rationalize with kids. They don't get it. So please help us, help them. That's your job. Do it.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Miller.
Hi, it's me again. I came here directly after work tonight. My main point tonight is you can do this before the 28th. You need to do it before the 28th. I left work today, as I do every day, from the ER. Half of the patients that I saw today were COVID patients. And the youngest one was 75 years old. I've been doing this since the beginning. and I have yet to see a child come in. Now, I know that there has been a child die in our county, and that is terrible. It's awful. This whole thing has been awful. I think that you guys, when you started with all this, did what you thought was best, and I understand. And now we have much, much more information than we did then, and it's become clear that it's time to end it. And every day that you wait is another day that my kids are suffering. My daughter has been through so much, I can't even share it in public, and it breaks my heart every day, every single day. And now the city, they don't have to wear a mask anywhere but at school. If I get one more notice from Miss Beeson for my son's class, that'll be the whole class that has had COVID. The kids don't even wear these things right. They don't work. And I'm begging you to end this insanity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to call up Janice McLeod. Okay, so no speaker? Okay. Thank you. Okay, how about Bruce McLeod?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I hope no one minds if I change the subject. There were reports recently about book bannings in Benicia schools. I'm a resident of Benicia. My two grandsons go to Benicia schools, and this is a great concern to me. Book bans are the bread and butter of repressive regimes around the world. It starts there. The next thing, they're burning the books, imprisoning the authors, and in some places even killing them. Is this the direction we want to start to head? I don't think so. Kids go to school, we're trying to really open their minds, expose them to things so they can make their own decisions. Limiting what they have access to does not promote that at all. So let's leave book banning to the repressive regimes and let our kids learn, which they need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is speaker number 8. If you could please give me your full name.
Cameron Wagner.
Thank you.
Good evening, trustees and Dr. Young. I'm here tonight to urge you to hold a special meeting to discuss dropping the mask mandate in our schools. It's important that we follow the city of Benicia's lead and other districts from all over California and let the mask choice be of the parent and the student. Please do not wait. You guys are leaders. Act like it. You can see how upset we are. Let's not take this any further. It's for the kids. Listening to these people, it just got my blood pressure up. And it hopefully should get your blood pressure up. You don't need to wait. Don't do that. There's times during this whole pandemic, all the freedoms that we are losing, I feel like we're in a communist country. I really do. And this is just getting ridiculous. A lot of the things I am seeing are biblical. And I'm not here to preach Jesus, but you should get your house in order if you don't. It is important that you guys do your jobs to protect the kids. If someone was bullying your kid and doing things that you wouldn't agree on, you would step in and you would do something. That's how we feel. I feel like you're bullying my child. And then that's all I'm going to say. I'm upset. I want you guys to do the right thing. Just do it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 more speakers left. Next one is speaker number 10. And if you could please give me your first and last name.
I'm Casey Wagner.
Thank you.
And I hope I have everybody's attention. We've been noticing a trustee who has been looking at their computer the entire time, and we're here tonight not to waste your time, but to show you how important this is. I respectfully ask for your attention. Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Young and trustees. As you know, on February 15th, the City of Benicia lifted the mask mandate. They took this action to follow the Solano County Public Health and California Department of Public Health state masking guidelines. The leaders of our city did the right thing and have given the choice back to each person if they want to wear a mask or not. But Benicia children are still required to wear a mask because you have not prioritized the health, wellness, safety, and sanity of the Benicia Unified School District community that you represent. You have chosen to not put the discussion of mask mandate removal on the agenda for tonight's meeting or any previous meeting. So I'm here tonight asking you to motion, I don't know if it's motion, if that's the correct term, but make an emergency meeting, not a special meeting that requires a 10-day notice, an emergency meeting that can be done now to remove the mask mandates in Benicia Unified School District, preemptively beginning March 1st or before. Truly, you don't need to wait until March 1st. If you choose not to make this motion, it will be very telling of how special funds and the funding for COVID and all of those things play into this role. Please do the right thing for our kids. It's for them. We need this. If you wait another day, they're suffering another day. We're not crazy parents wasting our time down here. Our kids are at home. We'd rather be with them. This is so important. Please do the right thing. Emergency meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final comment this evening is from Bertha.
They're still out there because there's no seat, so she's out there.
Okay, so if somebody could let her know she's up. Thank you so much. Hi, Bertha. Yes, you can step to the podium. Can you please tell me what your last name is?
Moll, M-O-L-L.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So I am a mom of 4 beautiful children in the school district, and I am here. I also work with kids in the school district, in the classroom. And first of all, I want to ask if you guys would please consider addressing a mask mandate lift. It is very difficult on the students. Some of the COVID policies have been very disruptive in the classroom. Being that I work with many children of all different ages in the middle school, some have a really difficult time with these masks. Some just sit there and play with them. It's very distracting during their day, and sometimes it's distracting for the students around them as well, because they're sitting there and playing with the mask. The other thing is the water breaks. At the middle school, a lot of the drinking fountains have been lifted. Some are still covered, but mostly the newer drinking fountains have been, they're not covered anymore, and people can get their water if they have a water bottle. Some kids still don't carry water bottles. They still go to the drinking fountain. The point with the water that I wanted to make was, you guys let them eat inside the cafeteria on rainy days without a mask on, but they cannot sit there and take a sip of water inside the classroom. They have to go out of the classroom to get a drink of water. That just does not make any sense. My children have come home several times with headaches because they don't want to take that time, the extra time, to walk outside the door to get a drink of water, even if they have a cup, or it just doesn't. When they're working on their classroom, it disrupts the classroom to stand up, walk out the door to get a drink of water every time. Just let them get water, for Pete's sake. The other thing is, I just think that we just need to get the mask mandates off as quickly as possible. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends our open session comments, and I thank everybody for sharing their thoughts with us. We're going to move on to, let's see here. Thank you, good night. Consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be pulled. Where am I? Just lost my place. Sorry. Members of the board, staff, or public request items to be pulled and discussed. Sorry about that. So we have 11.1 is our meeting minutes for February 3rd, 2022, and 11.2, approval of the personnel. There's only two. Okay, we do this all at one time. So do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
Good job.
Roll call, please, Mrs.
Who's
Martinez.
the second? I had 2 seconds. Thank you.
We're so eager.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Groves.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our next item is our informational item, and it's the consideration and approval of a superintendent search firm. And tonight, tonight we have two companies with us that are going to do a presentation. The first one that we're going to call up is McPherson and Jacobson. The other company will be headed off to the office to wait for the presentation to be done and questions to be answered. And then we will switch and make a decision after we hear both groups speak to us. So without further ado, thank you. Mr. Ferguson.
And Nicole Anderson.
And Nicole Anderson. Thank you. Hi. And you guys are here with
McPherson and Jacobson.
McPherson and Jacobson. So thank you so much for being here and submitting the paperwork that we had an opportunity to read. We really appreciate that. And I'm going to let you go ahead and speak.
First of all, 2 comments. It's tough to be a board member in California tonight. It's tough to go through that for you. I understand that. Second of all, thank you very much. We really appreciated you scheduling this presentation on the night of staff recognition. That was really nice to see. It's a really positive thing for you guys to do. My name is Bob Ferguson, Nicole Anderson. Nicole, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Great to see you again. Just honored to be in your presence and here to support Bob in the process of sharing about the superintendent search process. And I'll chime in where necessary, but great to see you and just honored to continue to contribute to the public education system and finding great candidates and finalists for our boards to do the great work that y'all are doing. And I'll stop there because we've had plenty of time to hear what that great work looks like, but just honored to be here tonight.
Thank you. My name is Bob Ferguson. I'm a retired superintendent. I live in Napa, California, about 38 minutes away on a good day. I work with McPherson and Jacobson. They're the only firm in California that's supported by CSBA. CSBA interviewed, probably 10 to 12 different firms and decided that McPherson and Jacobson was the one that they wanted to use. I've done about 15 searches in California. The largest district was 73,000. The smallest was 210 students. One of the things that we do that's a little bit different, you have 2 good firms tonight, 2 excellent firms. But we do things a little bit different. We sort of tailor the process to the board's desires. We give you some really good, we have a format we use, but we allow you to change some things. Maybe there'll be some questions later on, I can explain that. One of the things that we really do, we talk with you a long time, listen to you mostly, and try to get exactly what you want. We ask you for characteristics, background, experiences for who you're going to look for in your new superintendent. We also ask every applicant that applies to speak exactly to those desires that you want. We don't want a textbook, copycat sort of letter to you. We want the letter to specifically talk about the issues that you bring up in terms of what you want to see in your superintendent. We do one of the biggest things we do is a lot of community interaction, stakeholder review. I asked Nicole, she could talk a little bit about that, but I've done as many as 38 separate meetings in a district. We do an online survey, but we really spend a lot of time in terms of listening to the stakeholders out there and want them to be part of the process to give you more information when you make your decision.
Yeah, so one of the things I appreciate is, and I don't know if y'all recall this, way back when Dr. Young showed up in Benicia, I had the pleasure of actually being a part of this process, and I was a parent at the time. And one of the things that I really appreciate was having the opportunity for my voice to be heard in this process. So one of the things we love about the stakeholder input process is that you are allowing your community to really share what their desires are about the next superintendent. They get an opportunity to share the great things that they love about Benicia's community, about the school district. They also get to share their perspective about the issues. And I think it's really important that that be something that's heard in the process, so that the incoming superintendent can have a really good idea and a good sense about the whole picture that your stakeholders actually view. And so it's important, I think, to have that process, and we pride ourselves on it because it is one of the best ways to get great input. We provide a report after that process, and it's something that you as a board get to see, so that you get to really understand what the community feels about not only this role, but also about the community. And then also it's a great tool for us to do recruitment, so that we can really advertise out and help those potential candidates understand, is this the right fit for me, right? And to be fair to them, like, what are those things that we need to know? So it's a great tool that we pride ourselves on. And again, you said 38, so woo, that's a lot, but definitely it's actually one of my favorite parts of doing searches, is just to be with the community and hear their voices, and also to gather that so that you get a sense, but also it's a great tool for us. So it's one of the things that we do that sometimes is very different from others, but it also is a process that I think is one of the most valuable tools you can have, that actually informs a lot of the work you do, even beyond just hiring your new superintendent. So really, really appreciate that process. And again, you will get that report. It's something that's a public document, and then it's utilized throughout the process. And so I just wanted to share that as, you know, one of the criteria that may show up down the road is when you're hiring and interviewing for the superintendent role, you also use that as one of your forms of criteria to see how they speak to some of the things that even the community is looking to see. So really powerful tool. So I wanted to definitely share that insight.
Good. Thanks, Nicole. I failed to mention I had the privilege of doing the search back in 2015 when what's your name again? Dr. Young was hired. I wanted to share with you. This is from. I just finished Sonoma Valley about 6 months ago, but this is a copy of the report that we give. We also have an online survey in which we get probably 200 to 300 individual comments, because that's confidential. Sometimes people don't want to say things in open meeting, but they want you to hear things. I have to pass this around. Just take a look at this. We give that to you. We also. Most people publish it in their board documents, and we also give it to the new candidates coming in, so they can clearly see what's going on. But one of the biggest things, and probably the most time-consuming, is the vetting process. Where most firms make a mistake is in the vetting process. They miss something. They don't get everything. I've had many cases where people have actually changed their names to try to get around who they are, and that's a little concerning sometimes. But we go 3 deep. We spend probably almost 30 days just doing vetting on each individuals. We ask you up front the criteria you want. Do you want somebody from California? Do you want a sitting superintendent? Do you want somebody with teaching experience? All those things are factored in. So we give you when we get together to finalize what you're going to do, we give you every single application that we have. Whether we have 20, 40, or 60, you get every single one. We also put them in 2 piles, the piles that we didn't do, the piles that we want you to look at. And you have a chance to look at any of the forms, any of the things. Why wasn't this person selected? Why is he not or she not here being interviewed in the process? I mentioned before about doing some things different with interviews. We give you the option if you want to do a community interview on the same day of the regular interview. There's some pros and cons to that. If that's up to you, that's a board decision. We also give you an option of sometimes doing a social interaction prior to the actual interview, where we have 2 board members with breakfast, 1 board member or 2 with coffee, 2 with lunch, so that when you get to the formal interview in the afternoon, all 5 board members have had a chance to meet and talk with the candidate on an informal basis. And more importantly, the candidate gets a chance to see you and talk to you on an informal basis. That makes that really formal interview much more productive, much more interactive, and much more comfortable for both parties. I'm finishing up the Davis Joint Union District right now, so the timing is perfect. We can start tomorrow. We probably should start tomorrow. Which my guess would be that we could probably do interviews around the first part of May, maybe the last part of April. I think it's important that we move quickly. There's a lot of jobs out there right now, a lot of people looking for jobs, and we'd like to get Benicia out there right as fast as possible and get it advertised as quickly as possible. The price total, you see about $17,700. That includes everything. Again, we're a little bit different. We allow you to, we work for you, you don't work for us. We really want to format it the way you want it best done. I know 4 of you have not been through this, and I know, Diane, you've been through it one more time. Hello again. And so we'll help walk you through that in the process. I know we wanted to have 15 minutes, so we try to make it as quickly as possible, and that you had some questions to ask afterwards. So with that, we'll stop.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the information that you shared. That helps clear some things up. But we did put a list of questions together that that are in no particular order, and I just kind of put one of our trustees' names against each question. It doesn't mean that person wrote that question. It just, we're just splitting it up so to make it easy. I'm going to start at the end with Mrs. Grubbs.
Thank you. What is your process for getting a diverse pool of applicants? Will candidates be sought out of state too?
Out of state is your choice. We give you you tell us the criteria that you want. Again, we work for you. You tell us what you look for. We are very strong in diverse applicants. I think it's 40% of our superintendents are from minorities. We have a large number of females. We actually search for, hopefully bilingual sometimes. We try to match the needs of the district with the experiences of the candidates. It's almost like sort of the matchmaker in a wedding. You have a culture of the board, you have a culture of the district. We have candidates. We try to take the strongest issues. Not every candidate is strong. Obviously, there's no great superintendent that has all the qualities. We try to get the characteristics and backgrounds that match your biggest needs and work through that. Does that answer it?
I was thinking more about what the process was for getting a diverse pool of applicants.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. One of the things I shared earlier is I was part of this process as a parent, and this was my first introduction to superintendent search firms. On my journey as an educator, I actually jumped into this process with McPherson specifically because of the focus on having the opportunity to create a pool of candidates who were what we call diverse. And that might be people of color, it might be women, it might be people I say is culturally proficient also. And that's another concept that maybe someone's not a person of color, but they're a very culturally proficient educator, which means they understand how to recognize differences, respond effectively. So also kind of looking at it from the lens of getting the right match, as Bob said. But one thing about the process, and I think we pride ourselves on the network that we have as consultants. So while you'll have, you see Bob standing here, I'll be kind of supporting from behind, but the bottom line is we have other consultants, and being a national search firm, we have a process of our networks being able to make sure we have a pool of candidates we know, and that also we outreach. And this is really important about our relationships, is that there's so many folks who have aspired to be superintendents and sometimes haven't had access to the process when we talk about diversity. So one of the reasons why I even signed up to be a part of McPherson was just to open that door based on all the networks. So when we think about process, to give you an example, is connecting with our colleagues at CASA, which would be our African American Superintendent and Administrators Association for California. There's also CALSA, right, which is our Latino and Latina superintendents and administrators. You have the national groups. So there's a pool of folks who kind of fit into that network of affinity groups that we have to be plugged into, because we know we don't have all the answers right here, and that's where we often have to do that outreach. But with the relationships we've had, I think I'm on my 7th search at this point, so we've had so many opportunities to connect with folks. So that process in itself is kind of embedded in what we do. And so we pride ourselves on that and are very intentional. But in that screening, again, as Bob said, it's about getting you the right fit, but also making sure there's access to folks who may have never had access to this process because of the experience of going through, unfortunately, a history of not everyone having that kind of access to the process. So we're kind of living it, which is super exciting at this point in time. And I've had the opportunity to help place numerous people of color, numerous women, and they're doing phenomenal jobs. And they
Thank
fit those
you.
criteria. So
Thank you. I don't want to cut you short,
I'm
but
sorry.
we have like 13 questions. So we
But
want
she gave a great answer. Thank
Yes,
you.
she did. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next will be Mark.
Okay, pardon me if I get this wrong, but what the question looks like it's asking is, are you guys going to be the ones that are going to guide us, or are you going to have different people from your
No,
company guiding
I will
us?
be the lead consultant, and Nicole will be assisting me.
So you guys, you two will be the ones we would work with.
This is not a bait and switch. You're
Okay.
going to get tired of seeing
That
us.
was the question.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, Diane Furchi.
Okay, I really kind of think, whoops, sorry about that. I kind of think you answered this already for us, but they were asking if you do background checks for the final candidates or for all candidates coming forward to the board.
We do background checks on everybody that we put in a list that we want you to look at. If you pick somebody out of another list, we'll do a background check right away on them. But we probably spend a good 4 to 8 hours on every candidate. And we do it 3 deep. So we will give you a background check on every candidate that meets your criteria, and you will get that.
It's maybe just reminder though, like when you say background check, there's kind of another layer. So your finalists will go through a more extensive one.
FBI, the FBI does the finalist.
Yeah.
Which we will see.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the difference between those two?
Well, the FBI check does a fingerprint check, goes into whatever files the FBI has. Our background check, we talk to people, we go 3 deep. We talk to friends, colleagues, teachers, administrators, previous employers. We also search Google, we do everything else. But sometimes the FBI has access to information that we don't have.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Boss.
All right. So my question is, what will be the impact on our administrative assistant? So Ms. Martinez, what is that impact going to be on her?
That's a good question for one member sitting at this table. We do the heavy lifting. We really do the heavy lifting. We would ask her to be sort of the point of contact to help maybe in schedule with the board, maybe help us with community resources in terms of people that we should have coming to meetings and who we want to ask to come to the meetings. But we do the heavy lifting and then 95% of the work, period. Good question, though.
Thank you. Oh, it's my turn. Okay. In reading your proposal documentation, I can see that most costs are covered in that $1 amount that you shared with us. But can you clearly state what extra charges? Because as I was reading through, I could see that there were some extra charges that potentially could creep up, what those would be, and approximately what the budget it would be for that.
We have no extra charges. What you see is what it is.
So when we bring somebody here, and if they're from out of state, who covers?
The board, if you decide to bring somebody in from out of state, most commonly the board will pay for expenses for that person coming to the interview.
Or even from out of town. I mean, if Southern California.
Again, that's something we can talk about as a board. Depending on depending on what day you interview. Sometimes boards want to interview on the weekend because they have jobs during the day. It's easier sometimes for sitting superintendents to get away from their job on a weekend. Again, that's something we could talk about, how you want to do that. Again, it's your decision how you want to structure that.
Okay.
So one thing that I will say that is kind of a variable is how you decide on advertising. So that's something that would be one that we couldn't say until you decide. So in the first meeting, you would decide what that is. And so like running it through EdCal, running it on EdJoin, they charge, those associations charge. So typically like, I would say, maybe 1,500, give or take how long you want to run it. And that's literally based on their pricing. We both live nearby, so literally like the expense for consultants. Yeah, I do live a little closer, right? But literally there's no hotels and flights and all those things that sometimes, come into play. So it's very minimal. There might be like some copying costs, and these are all things that we work through our home office. and then kind of look at, here's the extra expenses. And so what he gave you was like maximum. It would never go beyond that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's some things we just wouldn't know because it's really through the process. But it's pretty minimal.
Yeah, that amount does incorporate advertising, EdCal, EdJoin, whatever you want to do. It does not include advertising outside of California, which could be different. But we also have a national website with McPherson, and I think they get about 8,000 hits per month on that website.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Grubbs.
Can we request a minimum number of candidates? Can we also read all documentation that is submitted? Do we just interview them, or do we just interview the final three?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay, so
The last one's no, though.
request a number. We can request a number
Yes.
of minimum number of candidates.
Yes,
We can read all the documents.
absolutely.
that they submitted. Okay, and then we can, we'll interview the last final three.
You know, again, the most average number of interviewees would be 4. I've done as many as 7 over 3 days. And we would ask the board to spend probably 2 days if you do 4 candidates, because it's an all-day process. So it's up to you. We work for you. You tell us what you want to do. We'll suggest 4. We'll give you some formats. If you want to do 5, if you want to do 3. I worked with a district that wanted to do 7. I worked with a district that wanted to do 2. It's up to you.
Thank you.
If no one in the first round works out and we need to do a second round of candidates, what is your policy with that?
We do it. No charge except for expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Short answer.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm coming. Sorry. Okay, my question is actually related to the Brown Act. What we were discussing is, are there any additional Brown Act items that we may need to be aware of, that we may need to have clarified as they relate to at the interview process or the search process that we might find ourselves engaged in? So will you guide us through that?
Absolutely. We'll also talk with your attorney firm. Different
Okay.
attorney firms and different districts have different views. Traditionally, the closed session items would be interview questions, the selection of the interview of the candidates, discussion of contract issues, etc. Everything else is in the open. We want it to be as open as possible. We're very comfortable having it open. We're not hiding anything. And we want the public to feel that they're involved in the process.
Okay,
But
great.
it'll be up to your attorney firm as to exactly what is what. But usually it's the interviews are a closed session. The discussion of candidates is closed session. Sometimes doing the interview questions is closed session. Sometimes it's not, depending on your firm.
Okay. I just remember there were some times with when we did this the first time that we had to be mindful of.
Yes,
So,
we are mindful of that.
Thank you, Dr. Moss.
All right, so you kind of answered this, but just for clarification, I know you mentioned the FBI background check. So what kind of background check do you do, and can we get a complete copy of the background checks that are being performed?
We will provide to you a 1-page or 2-page summary of all the background vetting we've done, giving you what we think are the strongest points to consider for this candidate, and also telling you and working with you on some of the questions we have on the candidate. Again, what we usually do sometimes, and I think we did it, Diane, when you were here, we meet with 2 board members prior to the board meeting, have every application there. Go through with 2 board members, every application. So when you get to the actual board meeting, most of your questions have been answered. And then we bring to you maybe a total of 6 to 8, maybe 9 finalists that meet the criteria that you've selected. Then it's your choice. And quite frankly, our goal is to make you uncomfortable at the final meeting, because we want to bring 4 candidates, not 1 candidate and 3 fillers, 4 or 5, whatever you want, strong candidates that you really have a strong discussion for. And I did Elk Grove, 7 board members, and at least 5 had a different first choice. Took
Okay.
about 3 hours for that discussion.
All right. And is there a way to get a full copy of the
So
reports?
I think there was one piece I heard you ask, Dr. Moss, was about the criminal background check. So remember I mentioned the finalists, right? There's another layer. And so what happens is there's the criminal, the education piece, because also there's looking at their credentials, and then their financial check as well. So there's like 3 actually areas. And then typically our home office gives us kind of the green light that they're good. I'm not sure if we give that report out though.
I think I've done it in some cases. The board can get access to exactly what to the records that we're looking at, so you can see. I mean, there's like the first 5 or 6 pages are really the form is long and tedious, the application form, but the first 5 pages really have all the recommendations in there from different people. You get a chance to see those. So again, total disclosure, we don't hold anything back. We let you look at everything you want to see.
Thank you. My turn. What is on your proposal that we initially got? You have CSBA written on there really big. I just wanted to know what the connection is with McPherson and CSBA being used as as a so emboldened on there. So
Okay.
I'm just
About 10 or 12 years ago, CSBA were doing some searches. They got into some trouble because of lack of vetting, and so they pulled out of the search process. But school boards went to them and said, "Look, we want your help." So I think it was 2012 or 13, somewhere in there. CSBA invited firms to come, and they talked with each firm for about 3 or 4 hours. Their process, et cetera, and they chose McPherson and Jacobson to be the firm they wanted to work with for 2 major reasons: the success. 80% of our candidates stay 5 years, and Dr. Young, you met that criteria. And about 60%, 50% stay about 10 years. That was number 1. Number 2 was the openness, the transparency, the fact that we don't tell you what to do. We allow you to work with us and do a process. So it's been a good relationship with CSBA for the last, I think we've been with them since about, 2013, somewhere in there.
okay. Thank you, Mrs. Grubbs.
Well, it's the same.
Oh wait, is
Yeah,
it?
we wouldn't ask them this question, would we?
No.
No, never mind. Yeah, go ahead, Mark. We're gonna skip.
Sure. We're switching questions.
That's
fine.
okay.
So now you have to kind of.
Whatever you want to do. Whoever speaks, I'll talk to.
Okay, can you please elaborate on your personal experience and background, but that you and your team partner bring to the role and responsibilities for the position of superintendent?
Okay, I retired from Tamalpais Union High School District. I heard the name El Dorado used. I was superintendent of El Dorado Union High School District.
Yeah.
I did an interim in St. Helena, interim in Howell Mountain, interim in Sausalito. I was a school superintendent. I was a high school principal, junior high school principal, assistant superintendent. I worked in 4 or 5 different counties. I joined McPherson originally in 2013. I've been able to do about, I think, 15 searches now, up and down California. So I sort of know what the process is, and I really try very hard to bring to you the expertise that I have, the contacts that we have. Nicole mentioned we have a lot of people in California. You know, when you get a little older, you know more people. And so we talk to a lot of people about candidates. Sometimes we find out some very interesting things by the fact that we know a lot of people. Did that answer it? I hope.
Thank you. And
So-
finally, Mark.
Yes. Please describe your screening process.
Well, you give us the criteria. You tell us what you're looking for. We do our best to get as many applicants as possible. We go through the applicants and see if they match what your criteria is. Those that match the criteria, which is probably going to be anywhere from 8 to 18 candidates out of about 40 or 50, we then go through the process of screening those. We also make very sure as we go along the process that the candidates are still involved. Most top candidates will have probably 2 or 3 jobs they're looking at. We want to try to hold them into our space as much as possible, so we have constant contact with them. I'll use Davis right now. Davis, we're doing discussions right now. I'll probably talk to probably 10 or 12 sitting superintendents, and they want to know. The first question they ask is, what's the board like? That's the first question they ask. Second thing is, what are the issues? And that's why that stakeholder thing right there really is a valuable tool for us. And we go through it. It takes a long time. It takes up to 3 months, but I'm looking at we want to get out there soon, so I think we can do 2.5 months. So starting next week, literally, we would probably be able to have you having interviews the end of April, first part of May. The only thing about that too is we'd like to get a candidate on board that person could also spend time with Dr. Young, visit the district, feel comfortable. You feel comfortable with them, do some sort of community outreach to meet the new person coming in. So we do an excellent job in screening. That's really what we're known for.
Thank you. Were there, that was the end of our list, but were there any things that didn't get answered that you would like to ask before we do the switch?
I do just want to confirm, so I know that your firm has conducted, is it 870 searches since 1991? Because it sounds like
national searches we do. McPherson is one of probably the top 2 national firms. So we do a lot of. We've done Las Vegas. We've done Atlanta. We've done a lot of big city firms. In California, I'm guessing 80, 90, 100, maybe over 100 since 2013. So we've done a lot of searches, and quite frankly, with our success rate has been excellent.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're all good, guys? Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have you go to the super secret room while we.
That sounds exciting.
What? Oh, yeah.
Dr. Young promised to be food in there for us, right?
Thank you so much. Here's your.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Good job, guys. And I think I'm going to ask for a motion to extend the meeting because I know for sure we're going to extend it. So I can do
I
that.
don't think we can wrap all that agenda up in 20
There's
minutes.
no.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you for a motion.
Okay, we can do that. Wow, we have a lot to do.
That way it's in between and. Thank you, Georgina. We were thinking about you. Oh, we're still on live still. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome. We have Dr. Cavazos and Mr. Juan Garcia. Garza, sorry, my apologies.
That's okay.
And they are with the company Leadership Associates, and they are the second company that we are looking at to make our decision this evening on who to hire. So I welcome you, and we look forward to hearing your presentation. So welcome.
Thank you very much. We can go to the second slide, please. First of all, I want to start out by introducing ourselves. I am Blanca Cavazos, and just to give you a little bit of my background, as you can see, I was the superintendent of Taft Union High School District. If you're wondering where that's at, if you know where Bakersfield is in the Central Valley, basically to the west of that. Currently, I am still the co-director of the ACSA, Association of California School Administrators, Principals Academy, and I've been doing that for a number of years. I've been in education almost 40 years, retired recently after almost 40 years in education, and I've taught at the elementary and secondary and college levels. I've worked with adult school, so long history in education.
Good evening. I just want to commend you for your recognition of school employees. It's a nice job. some great people that deserve some acknowledgement. My name is Juan Garzon. I was superintendent of Kings Canyon Unified School District in Fresno County for 15 years. We had about 24 schools, over 10,000 students. It was nice, a 7-member board. Prior to that, assistant superintendent HR, high school principal for 10 years, and went all the way back to teaching and coaching and all of those different things. After my retirement, I wanted to continue contributing to education, governing boards, and leadership. And I've been a partner with Leadership Associates for 5 years. I'm also the director for the Access Superintendent's Academy, among a lot of other things that I do for volunteer work. So pleasure being here this evening.
Do the next slide. Not only do we basically co-direct the searches that we do together, but we also have a strong administrative team that supports us. And just like you have an excellent executive assistant to assist the board and the superintendent, this is the team that supports us in making sure that everything is coordinated. So the district is not left coordinating everything on their own. There is a support person that will be connected and will help make sure that all of those things happen and that materials and packets, et cetera, are sent to you and to whoever it is that you designate. So this is just a list of your accomplishments, but honestly, sitting there in the audience, listening to you recognize the best of the best, it's very, very clear that the number one thing you have going for you is that you have an outstanding staff and a very caring and supportive community. I would say that's your number one asset that you have. It just came out so loud and clear, and it was really a privilege to be able to sit there and listen to that. And I think the other that I would also say that is clear in listening to even the speakers tonight is the fact that there are people that are long-term Benicians that have been here for a long time, are committed and love this community. And so I think those are two. There's a lot of things listed there that are accomplishments for the district, but I think that's really at your foundation. And the next one. We consider ourselves Leadership Associates, a premier executive search firm, and we do the vast majority of searches in California. We are really a California team, and we also, it doesn't mean that we do not do national searches, because we do, but we are really centered in California, and we get applicants from outside California, and it really depends on you, the board, as to how wide you want that search to be, whether you really want to do more of a national search or whether you really want to center it in California.
Blanca and I are the face of Leadership Associates tonight, but if you look at the map there, you'll see that all of our partners are successful retired superintendents who want to continue serving school boards and school leadership, and we're located throughout the state of California. We do not have an office. We all work out of home, but we have a conference call or Zoom call now every 2 weeks to connect, to support each other, help each other with recruitment, help each other with reference checking. And that's important that you know that there's a team behind this team working together. We're associated with a lot of different organizations, and they're listed there, but I'll just highlight a few. CALSA is one of them, for example. One of our partners, David Verdugo, was the director for CALSA for many years. AXA, all of you are familiar with AXA. Currently, the interim director for AXA is Mark Ecker, one of our partners in the firm. And there's other examples there, but every one of those organizations has names and faces behind it that we can contact for recruitment and reference checking. We are all successful retired superintendents that want to continue serving public education. We believe that public schools are at the foundation of our society. We value good, strong leadership, and we believe in integrity, equity, excellence, diversity, inclusion, accountability, and transparency. That's who we are, and that's what we do. That's very important. We help our clients in a variety of different ways.
And one of these ways is an area that we believe makes us different, because not only do we conduct executive searches, but we also provide professional growth, professional development for governing boards like you, for superintendents, for cabinets. We also provide them for aspiring leaders, aspiring superintendents. The next slide. On why us, I just want to, I know that you are quite capable of reading, but one of the reasons is that we are successful superintendents. There is no one that is a partner in Leadership Associates who has not been a successful superintendent in California School District. And we all, as you saw that list of organizations, we are all remain actively involved both in presenting and also attending professional development ourselves so that we can stay on the cutting edge of what is going on. Because as you know quite well, this over the past 2 years, if you didn't stay up on what was happening, you were out. I mean, you were absolutely out. And so it's very important for us, and we model that ourselves. We not only expect that of those that we work with, but for ourselves also, that we also participate in professional development and continue to grow. We are also partners, as Juan mentioned earlier. We're not hired consultants. We all have a vested interest in the success of every single search that we do. And we're also committed to that continuous improvement for ourselves and also for the districts that we serve and the superintendents that we are successful in recruiting. The next page. You can see here what some of the executive leadership development services that we provide. And as I mentioned earlier, that is really what distinguishes us. We have a lot of contacts within these networks where we're providing this professional development because we're seeing them early. They're coming in early, and we're able to watch them grow as well.
Our four-step process is the key to the success that we've had over the past 25 years. The search process begins with you. If selected, we would meet with you at a next meeting and begin to discuss protocols with you. And we'd also ask you 3 key questions. One is, what qualities and characteristics would you like to see in your next superintendent? What are the challenges facing Benicia? And what are the successes? And then we would go over other details of the search. But those 3 questions are very important because the responses that we would get from you would help begin to develop position description, which would be the second step in meeting with stakeholders. In that first meeting, we would work with you to identify key stakeholders. There's organizations and groups out there and city officials and police and fire department that are involved with the services that you provide. We would ask those groups the same 3 questions, including students, union leaders from both associations, or if you have more associations, from classified employees, from parents, from any type of stakeholder group that has a vested interest that you would identify. We would invite them, ask them the 3 questions, same 3 questions. We would also do an online survey that would cover 2 to 3 weeks, basically asking the same 3 questions. And we would look for common threads throughout the responses and develop a position description that we would bring to you for final approval. That position description would read something like the Benicia School Board desires a superintendent with the following qualities and characteristics. That helps sort out people and see what your needs are, what you're interested in, so that they would know whether they have those qualities and skills and experience that you're looking for. To begin with, we would also use that for recruitment. The other 2 questions we would use when we'd ask what are the great things happening here to recruit. Obviously, this is a great location to begin with. Who wouldn't want to live here? Just driving here is nice. But above that, some of your accomplishments would help us attract and recruit people. And then the last one, what are the challenges? They need to know what they're getting into. No surprises. You don't like surprises, and they don't either. So you'd approve that position description. We would recruit, advertise, and then bring all of the candidates back to you. We would go over their history, the reference information, and we would provide a recommendation based on our experience. These are the 4 or 5 that we think best match their position description, but you would get to select. Sometimes boards go with all our recommendations, sometimes they sort out, change the order. That would be your decision. Then we would work with you on draft interview questions that evening and invite the candidates to come. We would be here with you during the interviews, set it all up, and then take you through a process, round 1 and round 2 in the interview process, bringing back 2 finalists after the first round. And there's a good system that we use for that. After you get down to your finalists, we would continue to work with you on the key terms of the contract. The interviewees that you would select for the interview would all fill out a contract parameters worksheet of what their expectations are. And that's important because if one of those expectations that they have isn't similar to what you'd be willing to offer, no need to bring them here in advance. So we would take you through all that process and also work with you on just a press release and through the whole process from beginning to end. That's our 4-step process. This is a draft timeline. I won't go through it in detail, but basically it highlights the step I talked about. In February, we would meet with you, March 7th through the 21st, go through all the stakeholder input process, and then bring the position description to you towards the end of March for your approval. We could do that virtually on the phone. It doesn't have to be a special board meeting or at a board meeting once we get consensus from you on that position description. Work on recruitment in March and April, and then bring the application deadline, bring all of the candidates to you around March 20th or March 20th, May 7th. Sometimes the interviews could be 1 day, sometimes it's 2 days, depending on the number of candidates that you would wish to interview, and have the contract approval at your May 24th board meeting, May 26th board meeting, sorry, didn't have my glasses on. That is a draft timeline if selected at our next meeting, we would firm up that timeline, make any adjustments, shorten it or lengthen it depending on what your desires are. In closing, our search would really be your search. We're here to support and work for you. Our fees are all inclusive. You saw that in our contract proposal. We don't ask extra for this type of advertisement or this particular service. It includes everything. And as mentioned earlier by my partner Blanca, we're the premier superintendent search firm in the state of California. We do 70% of the searches in the state. That's 7 out of 10. Other firms, the county offices, and some districts do that on their own. And that's because of our reputation and our success the process we use, and how we do that, how we work with the school board and your support staff. So we want to thank you for the opportunity and are ready to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. We're going to do a little housekeeping here for just a minute because we're going to go beyond 10 o'clock, and that's when we have to get a motion on the table to extend our meeting beyond 10 p.m. So do I have a motion?
I'll move to extend our meeting beyond the 10 p.m. timeline.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Esteban?
Yes.
Trustee Moss?
Yes.
Trustee Perucci?
Yes.
Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
And Trustee Grubbs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Housekeeping done. We prepared a list of questions, and they're in no particular order, and they are being read not just by, it may not be the person that wrote the question, but we're just going down the line. So we're going to start with Mrs. Grubbs here at the end.
Thank you for being here. I'd like to know, what is your process for getting a diverse pool of applicants? And will candidates be sought out of state as well as in state?
As some of the statistics that we shared with you earlier with regard to the success we've had with diversity have to do with recruitment. We do not have a stall of people waiting, but we do have a knowledge and a list of people of diversity that are interested. Either they're up and comers in associate or deputy superintendent roles, or current superintendents that are wishing to relocate. So we recruit very heavily based on the interest of the board. And then as far as reaching out for out-of-state candidates, our firm, we don't need to reach out really. They apply quite often because of our recognition. On our website, we have over 800 subscribers that have signed up, to receive advertisements for positions, but recruitment is the bottom line for how we look for diversity.
And I would also add to that, if you look at the list of organizations that we belong to, that's also one of the ways that we are able to get a diverse pool, is because we belong to those organizations and we have connections with them. So we're always trying to reach out and make sure that the word gets out there and that we get a wide pool of applicants.
Thank you. Mr. Maselli?
Thank you. So the next question is, if we were to go with you guys, would we be working with you guys, or would you be sending us other consultants?
You'd be stuck with
Okay,
us.
thank you.
That's good. Okay, I'm the next question up for you. Do you do the background checks for the final candidates or for all the candidates coming before the board?
All the candidates. And we go way past just the list that they provide as references. We go deeper. We do extensive reference checking because that's very, very important.
And do you share that with us?
In detail.
Thank you.
Just to give you a little bit more, there is a box that candidates can check, and it says basically, whether they authorize us to go beyond that list. Obviously, if someone does not check that, then we've got concerns. But I would go back to also the connections that we have statewide, the partners that we have statewide. We're really doing that reference checking and getting information that is not necessarily on paper. That connectedness, those relationships where I may call you, you've worked in a district, and I may tell you, what do you know about Dr. Garza? What can you tell me about Dr. Garza? And that's where really the value in the service that we bring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and I know that you shared earlier that you do have an administrative team. We want to know what the impact will be on our administrative assistant.
There'll be a lot of communication.
Okay.
Because no matter what happens, you as a board and your administrative assistant know the district, the community, the staff better than we do. The process was pretty well explained, but there's tons of communication with every detail up to, as an example, how to get an online survey with using SurveyMonkey. We provide it all in a variety of different languages. And so there's We'll talk with your tech department or whoever you designate to assist us with that. All of those things, tons of communication.
And also setting up the stakeholder groups, because how do we connect with them except we need to connect through you, through the district. And so helping us set up those stakeholder meetings, putting the link on the website, those kinds of things. But our support team will be working directly and communicating and trying to remove as much as possible so that Georgina's not overwhelmed by that.
Thank you. I know she'll be happy to hear.
She says yay.
Two of the team members that were mentioned before were administrative assistants for superintendents, so they understand the work.
There you go. That's good. Now, we read the proposal that you submitted, and we see the dollar amount that you're requesting or asking to as part of your fee, and you're saying it's all inclusive. There's no other hidden fees anywhere? Like, for sure, there's no extra advertising fees, or what about if somebody comes from out of town to interview? Then how does that work?
If someone comes from out of town to interview, it's your call on whether you want to provide a stipend or not.
Okay, what's the general policy that you've seen happen? How's that?
I would say that out of the last 40 searches that I've been involved with, only one district has provided a stipend, West Contra Costa.
And
I say
otherwise,
that publicly because it was public knowledge.
sure.
They provided a stipend for out-of-state people. That's the only one that I recall. The others
Took
for
care of it
out-of-state,
themselves?
For the others, for out-of-state, it's at their own expense.
Okay.
So that would be your
Thank
decision.
you. That's good to know. And we're going to move back down to Mrs. Grubbs.
Can we request a minimum number of candidates? Can we read all the documents that are submitted? And do we interview all the candidates, or do we interview just the 3 or 4 or 5 that you have?
Prior to the presentation of the candidates and on the timeline, the data set there, we present the candidates to you. A few days before that, we provide you with a view-only portal, excuse me. I'm still thinking superintendent portables, I apologize. A view-only portal, and you get to see all of the applicants, their application, their reference letter, their resume, everything prior to the meeting. You can't print it out, but you can view it. And then that night, we present all of the candidates, recommend 4 to 6. You could choose to interview 6, 8, 4, 3, whatever you decide once you listen to all of their history and the reference information. You decide as a board. We'll provide a recommendation because that's our job. We try to make your job easier.
And then those interviews are in person or on Zoom?
Your call.
Okay.
Recently, they've been in person.
So if we get an initial round of candidates and none of them seem to work out, and a second round of candidates is needed, what is your policy on that?
We will re-advertise and go through the process of recruitment again. And only the cost for the advertisement is what we would add. No, it's only if we do a second search. So no, that we advertise again and start over.
Thank you.
So just to clarify that, so no extra charge? Is that
No
what you're
extra
telling us?
cost
Okay,
for
thank you.
that because no candidate was selected.
But advertising?
No.
No advertisement.
That's what I
No.
thought, okay.
Yes.
I think what Juan meant is if the superintendent did not work out, that's a different.
It was a whole new search.
Whole new
But
search.
if none of the interviews worked out and we needed to do a second round of interviews?
No additional cost.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's what I thought he said. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so now it's me again, Sherry. Okay, so this has to do with the Brown Act. So are there any Brown Act items that are related to the searches and the interview process that we need to be aware of? Will you work with us? How do you make sure that we don't get ourselves in trouble?
Okay, so our administrative assistant, prior to board meetings, will work with your administrative assistant and say, this goes in closed session, this has to be open session, what can and cannot be in open and closed session. And we will also remind you in our first meeting what is what we need to do related to Brown Act. And we will always be very cognizant of that because it's very important and we understand the legal implications.
So we might do part of the process in open session and then go to closed session, come back to open session, but we will work with you on that.
And provide the language for that board meeting.
Okay. Right, and then what kind of background check do you do, and can we get a complete copy of the background checks that are going to be performed?
Okay, the reference checking that is done is our search processes are confidential. Okay, it's important to share that with you. Most of the time, the people that are applying for these positions are successful where they're at. And when they apply for another position, they're jeopardizing their current position.
Right.
Okay, so we will provide you with the information. We'll share with you the reference checking that we did in detail, but we don't provide copies of that. Okay, because it is confidential information, both for the candidate and also when we do the reference checking, we want you, like if I were calling you for a reference check, we want you to know that it's confidential and we're not going to use your name so that you can speak freely. We will tell you who it is and everything, but we don't provide anything in writing on reference checking.
And we also do just Google searches, for example, to try to gather that information. And when you get down to the top candidates, we do have those conversations of, is there anything that we need to know? You know, is there anything that we need to know before we move forward? Because if we get any surprises down the line, it will not be good. It will not be good, and especially it will not be good for you. And so we try to impress that on those candidates. And I think that's another part of the service is that we do talk to the candidates so that we get to know a little bit more about them, and be able to ask those questions and have those frank conversations, so that we could tell you, you might say, we're really, really high on this candidate. And we might, at that point, be able to tell you, you just need to know X, Y, Z. And if you're good with that, that's fine. It's your search. At the end of the day, it is your search.
So for example, if the person, the candidate gives you, here's 3 references, then you just basically check the 3 references. Do you go beyond that? Do you go to the community? Do you do any other kind of like confidential, research that you can? Or is it just, here's a list of my references, you check the references and that's it?
We go way beyond that because the people that are applying, the references they list, they're not going to list anybody that's going to say anything bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right.
and the letters of recommendation that they request are going to be good letters, right? So that's a given. We go past that. That's the value of having these people located partners assisting us with the reference checking, because as Blanca said, somebody knows somebody that can tell us something about somebody in the state of California quite easily. It's just calling the right people. In Modesto, I was over there calling some of the local clergy that were familiar because they hear stories from families about, and they work with the school district. So we try to reach into the deep corners to try to find out what we can, because you need to know what you're getting.
And if I can,
No, go
if I could
ahead.
just give you a quick example. Just recently, one of our partners said to me, I need to get some information on a candidate who is from your area and they're in this district. And I said, I know the superintendent in that district. You tell me who you want to find out about and I'll contact that superintendent because it's someone whose opinion I trust. That's the other key piece, is we're not just talking to anybody, we're talking to people who are, we believe are giving us accurate information because we have a relationship with them already. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Well, I just wanted to say I appreciate the authentic and person-to-person contact in doing background checks, but I'm wondering if you use any professional services or government services to go into those background checks.
Some of us subscribe to some of the different services that provide you information about how the people, whether they have a criminal record, whether they file for bankruptcy and all of those things. So we have access to that type of information also.
And do you use that fairly often, or?
I do. And I think most of the partners do. I mean, because if a person can't handle their finances, they're not, and it's unlikely that they're going to be able to handle the finances in a school district. So yes, we use it regularly.
My next question was supposed to be for the other company that's here, so we're going to move on to Mrs. Grubbs.
12.
I'm going to skip my question because that was for the other group. So now you're on 11.
Okay. What's the connection of CSBA and Leadership Associates?
Our connection with CSBA?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're associated with CSBA, but we work with them. We're collaborative. We use them for reference checking too. We talk to some board members.
I've served on their superintendent's advisory committee in the past. Presented for them.
Presented at CSBA conferences, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Ferrucci?
Yes, thank you. So, I think you kind of answered this, so if there's anything you feel that we need to know, would you just add to it? But can you please elaborate on the personal experience and background that you both have, that you bring to the search for superintendent through your roles and responsibilities and understanding of the superintendent?
Personally, I believe that my experience as a superintendent, when I hear about from you with regard to the qualities, characteristics, and skills and experience that you're looking for, I reflect on whether I have those skills to begin with, and then I begin to do the type of searching for someone that best matches those, and someone that can work collaboratively with the board. Work as a team, because that's so important. Having served with the same school board in the same district, well, different board members, but within the same district for 15 years, the communication, the working with the school board, the style of the people, what the board is looking for. So I think my experience in those arenas would assist in helping you select a good candidate.
Thank you.
And I would say also, as a former superintendent, there is research that says that the stability of a board and that working relationship with the superintendent impacts student achievement. I mean, that's hard to believe, but there is research on that. And so it is very important for us, for me, to be able to say to someone, this is a really good place for you to be. This is a board that you can work with, and to find the right fit. I used to hate that when I was trying to apply for an administrative position and they would tell me, you're just not the right fit. But having been a superintendent, that right fit is critical. It's a make or a break. And so our goal is to find the right fit for your district.
Thank you.
And you have a great reputation as a school board and as a district, so I think that's going to facilitate the process greatly.
we pride ourselves on getting along, you know. We collaborate well.
We do.
And go ahead, Mark.
So if you could, the last question, if you could describe your screening process?
Which I think you might have kind of.
Yeah, I think they pretty much did. I just.
The wheel, I think.
Yeah, I think we're
I
good.
think we're good, yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, at this time, I want to thank you for your presentation. It was wonderful. And we're going to have you stay in this room while we deliberate here. We're going to call in the other group to come back, and then we will be making our decision shortly. Just hang on. All right, guys.
What happened?
What happened?
Oh,
We want us to sit and.
I'm good. Oh, okay, I get it. Not.
Right.
No.
You got a voice.
you know, I want fresh eyes. I don't want to have preconceived ideas in the notion because they've been here already. I think we need to go with a fresh group.
I can't understand what you just said. I'm trying to understand what you just said.
Your mic on?
Yeah, the mic's on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, folks, we're gonna talk right now, but it's directed so that you can all hear. We want to be very transparent with this decision-making process, and so that our folks at home can understand what is going on. This is a very awkward moment for all of us because this is something that doesn't happen very often. And with that being said, we're just going to talk. You're going to hear us confer with each other, but the mics are all going to be on so that you hear what's going on. So continue your conversation. I think that's good points that you're making, Diane, on one versus the other. I hear what you're saying. Stacey, did you have any input as far as your thought process of which you would feel comfortable with?
I do, but I was curious to hear what Diane was saying, and I didn't.
Okay, so Diane, sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, well, Mark's going to be back. So.
Pardon me?
Mark is going to be back.
Is Mark gone?
You went to the restroom.
Oh, that final little bio break, huh? Okay.
So,
So I think, I mean, you want me to restart? Because I kind of
I guess that's where
it kind of came about because I just kind of looking at both firms. It to me, it is important to have those connected relationships that really kind of our reach is wider. So it's not a narrow search. And I know that both indicated that they can, reach beyond California. I mean, I don't know if we would have to do that necessarily, but it is important to me that we still have that ability to look at all possible candidates. Looking at price wise, McPherson, the fee is little over $17,000. The Leadership Associates is $24,500. McPherson did indicate that those fees should be all inclusive. I think with the possibility of maybe having to extend for advertising, was that correct?
Mhm.
Like there may be a little bit more with that. I did appreciate that McPherson has the connection. It seems like strong ties with CSBA, which is really important in terms of, I think about like school board oversight, things like that. It's just important to have those relationships. And so, so that's kind of where I'm leaning. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning. And then I know that Diane, you had shared some things too.
Yeah, well, what I was just reminding us of is the long list that Leadership Associates also had with all of the other groups that they are official leaders of, and one of the biggest ones we use also besides CSBA is AXA, and they are the directors and they are in charge there, and that is a superintendent's organization. So I think as far as knowing that there are contacts and connections, I don't think that's something that we have to be concerned about. You're trainers for CSBA, which I know I've seen them in action because, and you've also in education, so you would have seen, I mean, we've seen them. So we know that they're there and they're doing it. So I just think that one has it and one doesn't, I don't think is something that would be a distinguishing difference. The thing that I also am looking at, because I've done this will now be the second time in this district, is I really think it's my preference that we have fresh eyes. Not that we go back and use the same group, not that there's anything wrong with them, but there's already preconceived ideas and notions about a district, and what I want is somebody to come in with fresh eyes to take us to the next level. McPherson served us really well.
Yeah, so did you have concerns with McPherson before?
What we did do at the end with McPherson, and Bob knows, is we chose not to have it become the coach of our superintendent at the time because we were having some concerns and disagreements. There were times when we were struggling to get some information and we didn't get it the way we thought, and maybe that was our fault because we were new. And as I said, I was a brand new board member then, so I'm like, I don't know. But we actually did go with another organization to be our superintendent's coach because we felt that was something that was very important to the team. The other thing is our assistant was actually consumed with the superintendent search, and that was something we were concerned about. My concern for Georgina this time. Betty was heavily involved, so I was really excited to hear that there's a support team behind her. because I think that's to our advantage, because the reality is why this is going on from February to the end of May. There's a district that's got to be run. And the idea that all of a sudden is being overshadowed by a superintendent search, I don't think we can afford that, especially in light of what's going on these days in the world of education. So that is a concern of mine. So those are a few of mine, so I will move the mic on.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share any information about how they feel about these two companies?
You know, I am so new to this process and I'm so out of my comfort zone. There were a couple of things. I appreciated McPherson's transparency about background checks, how it's done. They were very clear. I also, and this might be a bias, Nicole knows our district. Mm-hmm. She knows our district very well. I think in this day and age, it's so important to have strong, deep dive background checks. I'm not sure. I thought that, leadership was okay on that, but I left with a question. So let's see. I think that's all I have. I think I need to listen more. Hear what all the veteran groups have to say.
Thanks. Yeah,
Oh, I thought both groups did a really good job. I didn't really find one thing or another about either one, so I'm pretty open either way.
What I liked about leadership was that they have been superintendents directly, and I think that could be a really big plus in my eyes as far as the process. There may be things that we didn't get the right answer, I think, regarding the background checks and not being able to see it. But then again, after hearing the way it was explained by leadership and that it is private information and it could, none of us are going to go out and make phone calls to their bosses, that people that are applying, to say, watch out, be careful. We wouldn't do that, but I think in every effort to make the person applying for the job feel comfortable, it would be knowing that that information was confidential, and we would get the tidbits that we would need to make those good choices going down the line. Again, this is a new process for 4 of us. It's a little bit daunting, but I know, I think we will be able to get the information that we need from one of the companies that we choose. Either of them would have offered the same amount of information, I believe. I like the all-inclusiveness of leadership. I felt, I don't know, both the companies spoke well, but I think, I'm leaning towards leadership, but that's just my personal thought.
And I don't know how you all feel. This just, and I don't have the answer to this either, but definitely both firms did offer great information. I honestly think that both firms would actually be able to do the work.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess the only thing for me when I think about decision making and processing, inclusion, it's like it's great that everybody in leadership has been superintendents, but I also just want to make sure, I guess, in California, but I also want to still just make sure that the lens, in terms of that pool that we're pulling from is not just, and so I've been a member of the Association of California School Administrators, so I know that, when we were all in AXA, we all communicated together, and there was just that circle of folks who communicated. And so but you still had all these dynamic people who may not have been in that loop or may not have been a part of the organization. And so unfortunately they were excluded. And so I just want to make sure that if we have a group of folks who are leading this work from this lens of, we've all done this, I want to make sure that it's still a broad, a broad-based search so that we're not missing out on, on candidates who should be a part of the process who may not because they don't know this person or that person.
Right.
Because I've seen it happen in education. So.
I think what they both explained really well was that who they look for and where they go is going to be dependent on our direction. So I think we're going to be, unless I misunderstood them, we're going to be the driving force about where and who they go. So I think we need to.
I appreciated that because I do think education is changing so fast, and that is everybody's role. And so I think that a broad-based search would be important, and one that really recognizes the changing face of education, and maybe can think outside the box, and maybe comes up with new ideas, and doesn't stay, kind of stuck in one mold. I don't know.
And you have to remember leadership, they're both
very
about all the groups that they're involved with. They are going to be able to pull from all of these different avenues that these different tendrils, go out. So I feel confident either one would be able to provide to us a search that is broad in relation to so many areas that we are going to give them the guidelines on. So I agree. And so
Diane did have that concern about how much our board assistant how much it might add to her workload. So I think that's something to consider as well.
Okay, any other comments, or do you think we're ready to move forward and make a vote? Okay, so I'm not even sure how to do this. I think we just say all those in favor of blah, blah, blah. Raise your hand. So we'll down, or we'll just go down the line and I'll say who I want, you say who you want.
Or I think someone can make a motion for the preferred choice, and then we can vote from there. So
Okay, got it.
If you want to make a motion.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
So is that okay, Ms.?
Yes, yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Leadership Associates as our search team for the 2022 superintendent search for Benicia.
2021.
21 and 22.
22, 23 is it?
Yeah, it's 22, 23, right.
You're right.
It's 22,
Yeah,
23.
it's like, okay, wait a minute, are we going back in time?
Sorry.
Okay.
And do we have a second? There's no second on leadership? Okay. Then let's, I guess, do we vote then? How do we do that?
I think the motion dies,
Yeah.
and then you break another motion.
Well, I would have, could I have seconded?
Yeah, you could second it.
I can second it, yes.
Yes.
I would be good with leadership. Sorry, this is all. Yes, please.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
No.
Trustee Farici.
Yes.
And Trustee Maselli, sorry.
No.
Trustee Grubbs.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Well, then we are going to award the contract.
You need to do another motion.
Yeah.
Can somebody can we have a motion on the table for regarding McPherson and Jacobson, please.
I move that we approve McPherson Jacobson for our superintendent search.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Who was that?
Thank you. Okay.
President Zeta.
No.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci. No. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So at this time, I want to thank our presenters that are here. I want to thank you both for being here to share all the information. You both would have been equally wonderful to have on board and helping us through this process. So I think at this point, I have to have a motion to approve. Well, we just did that, right?
We just did
Okay.
that.
So at this time, I'm gonna let McPherson and Jacobson know that we are going to be happy to work with you folks and working in getting the best of the best of the best superintendent for our district. And we know there's going to be a lot of work involved. We know we're going to have to set up a lot of meetings, and we want to thank you for being those people for us. So I thank you. And at the same time, I want to thank Leadership Associates for being here. Is this awkward? Is this just really awkward? I'm so sorry. But yeah, so congratulations, and then also thank you so much. We'll be looking.
We like each other, so
That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Thank you. I'm going to be the lead on with the board, and then we'll work on different people doing different things.
Let me leave my contact information
With
her, and then we can
With
start talking tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay, moving on to item 13.1 is consideration and approval of the site and district safety plans. Mr. Thompson is here to share information with us. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Thompson, and I'm honored to be here in my capacity as Safety Coordinator of Benicia Unified. I have a very focused and fast presentation for you. We're going to outline two things. We're going to go through the four updates and changes we have in the plans that you've reviewed, and then I'll do a quick and kind of brief overview of the safety work we've been doing since I last spoke to you in February of 2021. Okay. I like to always include this slide. It's representative both graphically of our unified plans in our district. It also kind of reminds us that we take advantage of EdCode's requirement and encouragement to unify our emergency protocols as well. That allows our site councils and our safe school committees to be able to do so. The primary reason we've been doing that for many years is that as we have kids come up through our elementary schools, to our middle schools, and then to one of either of our high schools, they're continually using the same terminology and at learning age appropriate responses, which makes it safer for everybody, students and staff. We have four primary updates and changes to our plans this year. The first is that what used to be called the crisis response section is now called the emergency response section. We did that in order to align with industry standard terminology, in that when you say crisis response or crisis support, you're generally responding or talking about now emotional or traumatic kind of incident support. So shifting that name over to emergency response plan gave way for our second edition, which is the crisis response to emotionally traumatic incident section. Want to acknowledge the work from the Division of Student Services. Both Ms. Corona and Mr. Gomez contributed quite a bit to this section. It's extremely supportive of not only administrators and being able to put together a crisis support team for either an isolated incident or something that might be more widespread. But it also gives tools to our psychologists and our mental health professionals when doing any type of crisis support, and is also one of the supports of our threat assessment system that we're continually building. The third update is the updates to the incident command system, which is aligned with our state SEMS plan. We traditionally, or previous to now, we had individual site team teams, which were made up primarily of site personnel. But knowing that we're a unified district and a smaller district, and having been to some trainings and taking more advice from emergency personnel, I've realized that it makes sense for some of our roles to be standardized with district personnel and some of them to be site personnel, which allows kind of better coverage and response, so that if there's either a site-based incident or something like an earthquake that would affect all sites, that we're able to kind of have better coverage and a little bit better communication. And then finally, the site safety assessment. There used to be a section called the safety audit. That's been removed and turned into the assessment. We've done that for two reasons. One, based on Government Code 6254, their terminology is any information prepared that can assess school site vulnerabilities to terrorist or other criminal acts is something we don't want in public records. So that allows us to, so as we were getting better at this, and as site councils and site principals, we're actually doing a really amazing job of kind of identifying these vulnerabilities. That allows us, we want to have that in a plan that we're addressing, but we obviously don't want that in a public document. And pulling that out also kind of responds to some of the constructive criticism we got from some site councils and wanting to make sure we have a little bit better observation and keeping track of that and having it make it a living document. So that's something that'll allow me to work with the safety team as well as each site principal to make sure we're doing that work. Okay. And then as far as our work update, I always like to start talking about our excellent relationship with Benicia Police, Benicia Fire, and the city of Benicia. COVID obviously threw a monkey wrench into us being able to meet, but luckily in the fall, all four entities were able to send representatives again to our meetings. We've had two meetings to this point. They've been focused primarily on safe routes to school, interdepartmental communication improvements that we've needed to make, as well as working towards threat assessment. We've been able to, like I said, mentioned earlier, the crisis response to emotionally traumatic incident section is part of that threat assessment, being that we don't want to just be forensic and working with these situations. We want to try to identify any students or situations that might need support ahead of time and prevent a threat from happening. We continue to work with SCOE and BPD to get that in place. Our infrastructural changes through Director Egan, all the bond work that we're doing obviously brings a lot of safety change with that. And then Director Romero as well, working in capacity with site principals and myself to make sure we're addressing what's on those assessments as quickly as we can. And then finally, we are a member of the WeTip 2.0 community now. All of our web pages have a link that's able to be clicked for anyone to do an anonymous tip. That can be an individual concern about a student, maybe having suicidal ideation, for example, or it could be somebody saw something happen on a campus and they want to make us aware. So it's really great that we have that there, and we'll continue to kind of develop that capacity that we have. And so that's what I have for you tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have the WeTip. It said coming soon. Is like when?
So it's part of NBSIA. So it's we don't pay for that service. It's part of the insurance group that we're with.
Mhm.
So the links are already on the webpage to be able to be used by anybody that needs to use those. As far as signage, posters, we're working on getting those in place.
Okay, so it's up and running. It
Yes.
just doesn't have the advertising.
It's not fully launched
placement yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we can find that just for our people at home as well. We can find that on the website.
Yes.
On our district website.
Yeah, there's a small graphic that's available on
called
both the
WeTip.
sites and the BUSD site.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Anybody else have anything?
No, but I would like to make a comment if you don't mind.
Mhm.
I wanted to thank Sean for how the plans have evolved. It's really refreshing to see the consistency from site to site and also the clarity in the documents as well. When we first came on board and we're looking at them, everybody was different and kind of doing their thing, but it's really nice to know that the district is now all aligned and that we are now reaching out and working with our community as well, our city organization, so that we have the support that way. So I know you've put a lot of hours and time into that with each of the sites, and I just want to let you and all of the sites know I really appreciate the involvement and the change.
Thank you, Trustee Frucci. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's true. We've seen a big growth with it, so I really appreciate it. So at this time, can I get a motion on the floor from somebody to approve, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Consideration and approval of the site district safety plans.
I move that we approve the site and district safety plans as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Gross.
Yes.
Thank you, trustees. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 13.2, consideration and approval of BUSD After Hours Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, the ELOP. Mrs. Rice and Mrs. Regis are joining us to share some information about this program.
All right. Good evening, almost good night, Board, Cabinet, Benicia community. I do want to give a quick shout out to Greta and Brianna, excuse me. They're here from Miss Wheat's leadership class, and they are
Oh my gosh.
holding on strong. So tonight, Ms. Regis and I are going to share with you what the ELOP, or Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, is. We're going to talk about the funding, stakeholder engagement. We're going to share with you the structure, and then also put forth a recommendation for approval. So the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program is a grant. BUSD was awarded $377,000 with an intention for ongoing funding, but we do not yet know if or what that will look like. This funding is being used to run an after and or before school program, and also offer this program to our students during non-school days for up to 30 days. Another requirement of the grant is that the grant focuses on social emotional learning, also academic and physical support for our students, that it's engaging and hands-on. Another requirement is that it includes community partnerships, which we already have in place. We're partnering with Brickspace, Code B Academy, Flying Monkeys Theater, as well as Arts Benicia, working right alongside of CDU. And this program is not meant to replace what goes on in the classroom, but to enhance what's going on in the classroom. We are to provide a 9-hour day for students. So that's the before and after school support, and that's a really important part of offering different opportunities to enrich and enhance what the kids are learning. There also another requirement is that we have a 1-to-10 ratio for our TK through kindergarten students, and then a 1-to-20 ratio, so 1 adult to 20 students for our 1st through 6th graders. This year, BUSD is going to offer this program to our TK through 5th grade students, and hopefully we will be able to grow that with additional funds next year. Another stipulation of this grant was that we must enroll 50% of our unduplicated students. That's our homeless foster youth, our multilanguage learners or EL learners, as well as our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. BUSD enrolled 100% of our students that qualify for this. We invited them by mailing out invitations as well as following up, doing some phone call outreaches to get student participation. We invited a little over 500 students, and we already have registered over 330 students. Stakeholder engagement. So we had the BUSD After Hours program last year, if you remember, while we were on virtual learning, and we surveyed our families, and over 88% of our families and students said that they were interested in having extended learning opportunities. So last year, virtually, we offered more than 50 interest-based classes that were provided by our staff and also community partners. It was very well received, and we had really positive feedback from both the parents and students, as well as the facilitators that participated. Now I'm going to turn it over to June Regis to bring you into the nuts and bolts of the program.
Good night, everybody. And thank you for having us tonight, Superintendent Young and our board. This program is going to be offered at each of our elementary schools this year. We chose, the idea with the state is that you get started. And so we will hopefully be able to go to the middle school the next year with more funding. It's going to begin at 2:30 to 5:30. 3 hours, that makes up the 9-hour requirement that the state is asking. And on Fridays from 12 to 5. We will have the TKKs, they get out at 1, and so that will make up their 9-hour day. We will also, based on state requirement, have 30 additional days, so we'll go through spring break and the month of June. It's going to be housed under CDU, and this part is important because most of our neighboring districts do not have a child development program that's like ours. They have ACES and 21st Century, and actually this ELOP is an extension of ACES and 21st Century. Benicia never got the funding. We applied twice, and we learned that usually for ACES and 21st Century, you have to have 80% or maybe 100% free and reduced lunches. We never made the threshold for 50%. So we were never considered for the grant. So we have our unique CDU, as we are popularly called, where parents pay, and we have a subsidized program at Robert Semper. So it made sense to have this program housed in CDU because we didn't want to compete against our own self. Who's eligible? Of course, everybody was enrolled. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Beatson enrolled every single student that qualified. And so all our TKKs that are eligible, unduplicated students are enrolled. We sent out through snail mail. We did phone calls. We had everybody, the schools called parents, and the families were given an application to register. So hence the reason we have 300 of the 500 qualified people registered. What will happen daily? The big piece that the state wanted is to have what they call now, the new buzzword is high dose tutoring. And so the district has chosen, based on NWEA, to use Imagine Learning and to focus on the math part of it, because that was the most growth we saw since we did our summer program. We'll have snack and physical play, and our interest-based community partners, Brick Space, Flying Monkey, Theater Drama, Code B, doing coding, and Benicia Arts will do our interest-based programs for this year. So this is a sample of what will happen. Our community-based programs will go to each elementary school one day of the week. So on Monday at one site, art will be there. On Tuesday, that site will have coding. Wednesday, that site will have drama. And Thursday, that site will have Legos. On Friday, there will be no community partners, but the staff will do a full day of fun and just having a good time, relaxing Friday. The logistics of it is that we have sent out emergency and medical forms to all 300 and something families that have registered, because we and CDU need to know who can pick this child up, especially if the child is being picked up before 5:30. At 5:30, all the students that are the invited students will go to the front with staff, just like a normal school day, through the drive-thrus at the different elementary schools, and they'll all be picked up then. We are doing all the compliance with the district's COVID safety guidances. We will be serving healthy snacks through our school program with Director Tonya at Food Services. On February the 2nd, 22nd of 22, very special day, all twos, we will be having a family orientation, a Zoom orientation for all the invited families, explaining everything about the program. Dr. Beatson sent them a letter, so they're fully aware, but we wanted to have a face-to-face with them where we can answer their questions and also introduce them to the community partners that will be with their students. Also, the community partners will bring their own staff with them that has been vetted, and that will be so the board action. Before you do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So can you go back to the day-to-day activities? Because I'm assuming the brick space is like we did for summer school and we were observing that. So on Friday, can you give me a little bit more information on that rather than just the whole fun day?
Okay, so on Fridays, the students get out at noon. Normally, CDU would have an entire week's worth of stuff that students do. We don't have to do it Monday to Thursday, but we do it on Fridays.
Okay.
So Fridays, we don't have community partners, but we will run the program the way we do, whether they do a cooking project, whether they do physical activities. They have an opportunity to do more of the high-dose tutoring because all of our lead teachers were trained by Lisa Goldson in Ed Services on Imagine Learning. So we have that opportunity, and just to have outside play, to do whatever art, whatever they choose for that day from 12 until they get picked up. Yeah, just asking questions. Yeah.
Any questions, guys? No? Okay, thank you both for presenting. This looks like it will be a great asset to our kids.
Yeah.
At this time, I would like to see if we have a motion on the table for the consideration and approval of the BUSD After Hours Expanded Learning Opportunity Program. Do I have a motion? Anybody?
I'll move to approve the after-hours program as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please, Mrs. Martinez?
Yes. President Seda.
Yes.
Clerk Moss. Sorry, I'm tired.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to go on to item 13.3. Means Dr. Gill, you are up. We're going to be talking about the consideration and approval of resolution number 21-22-20, the release of temporary certificated employees.
Thank you, Ms. President, trustees, and Dr. Young and community members. So this is an annual item we bring forward for any employees who are hired as temp because certain teachers being on leave or any employees who are being hired as temps by using one-time funding. So that's just a routine that we release them. Then depending on which positions are going to be open for next year, which means if there are other employees, existing teachers or existing employees who need to take leave, we need to backfill those positions. So, or if there are positions that we decide to fill for the one-time funding. So some will get filled, some wouldn't. So that's an annual process that we do.
Can I ask a question? What does that mean for I know this is standard, I do, but I'm wondering what that means for the classroom next year.
There are quite a few positions here. Each position is different. What I'm trying to say is some positions, some of these employees are filling positions behind a STIRS reduced work teacher who is on leave for a certain percentage for STIRS reduced workload teacher. So let's say one teacher says, I am deciding to come full-time next year, that we don't need that position anymore, that temp position. Another position could be, I want to name them because then I'm going to be saying people's names. So I don't want to do that. But so there are quite a few positions where we have full-time employees, but for whatever reason, because of any kind of specific leave, we have to backfill those positions. Right. So there's quite a few of those. There's a handful that we hired this year only that were COVID funding positions, temps. So then that would be based on the decision from the board based on LCAP and all those monies, one-time funding, which positions are being continued. If whichever decision is made, then those will be paid based on those. So if a position is not being continued, we will inform the employees this position is not being continued. However, if you're a teacher, so to speak, you have a multiple subject, I'm just hypothetically sharing. You have a multiple subject credential, we have all these other positions open, you can apply, people go through the interview process, and that's that.
When people took temporary positions, they knew
They knew.
this was coming.
Then they sign the contract, then they apply for the position. Right. Even when they apply, they know it's a temporary position.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good question. Really good question. So at this time, do we have a motion on the floor to consider and approve the resolution number 2122-20?
I'll move to approve resolution number 21-22-20, release of temporary certificated employees.
I will second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mrs. Martinez.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Trustee Gross.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 13.4. Dr. Gill again, consideration and declaration for California Basic Education Skills Test, the CBEST waiver for 30 days substitutes.
Thank you. So this is a request we're bringing forward. We have noticed we had quite a bit shortage of teacher subs in the fall. Recently, we have been actually doing fairly well, which is really good. But we have some candidates, and also in general, if somebody has a bachelor's degree, somebody has a master's degree, for whatever reason, they are unable to pass CBEST, right? So if they are able to do the job, and we would like to be able to hire people who qualify for every single thing else, and they can get a 30-day permit as long as we have an authorization from the board that if they don't have a CBEST, and that will only be effective until June 3rd. And if we have a need again next school year, we will bring this request to you again if this is approved.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on the table, please, or questions? Okay, thank you. It's always good to ask a question. I'm glad you guys are keeping up on me because, anyway, can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the declaration for the CBEST waiver for 30-day substitute.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. A roll call, please, Mrs. Martinez.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Perucci. Yes. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Groves.
Yes.
Now, don't get too excited, but item 13.5 is our last item for this evening, and it's only 10:59. Let's see how fast. Consideration and approval of new job description for instructional assistant. Dr. Gill, welcome back.
So this is a kind of, actually it is exciting that we are going to be implementing UTK. We're going to have opportunities to provide education to more of our TK students. The TK, UTK, also universal TK, also requires that along with the teacher in TK classrooms, we also have an instructional assistant, which wasn't a requirement until now. So that means along with hiring additional teachers for TK, we also have to make sure we hire instructional assistants for all the TK classes, new ones and existing ones. So the first step in the process is to get the job approval before we start advertising the positions and so on. So we will be adding these positions for each of the TK classes.
Are there any questions for Dr. Gill?
If I remember correctly from what Tim had said before too, this is a requirement to have in TK class.
This is a new requirement with the universal TK, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not something we have to do it, so.
Because the ratio has to be 12:1, basically.
Okay, thank you.
So that means that the instructional aide can't be pulled out to do something else. Is that correct?
Her instructional aide's job will be to support the students within the classroom.
Right, but oftentimes aides are pulled out of the classroom that they're in to go cover something else, go do something else. So according to the state, you have to have 2 adults, 1 teacher and 1 aide in the room.
That's correct.
So I'm just clarifying that the TK aide won't be pulled out to help in another classroom.
Technically, no. Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, so can I get, or is there somebody that wants to make a motion about 13.5?
I'll move to approve the instructional aid assistant job description as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please, Mrs. Martinez.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Perucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Groves.
Yes.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
approving
you.
all 3 of my items.
So at this time, I'd like to adjourn our meeting. It is 11:02, and I want to remind everybody that our next meeting is on March 3rd, and look forward to seeing you then. If you've hung out at home, bravo to you. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.